Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my friends Dan and Matt, and once again, Mr. Ryan Niemiller joining us once again.
We did it.
Join us at the beginning of the year and when we're going to do all our Game of the Year stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a fun time.
I can hear how wrong you guys were about 2024.
But we'll go ahead. We'll kick it off. There's been a lot. We've been off for about a month here, so we'll kick it off with. I'm sure we have a plethora of things that we played over the holiday break. I will go ahead and start with some of the stuff I have played here, and then the biggest one that I have would be Indiana Jones. You're playing it too right now, Dan, so I will save that for my last thing so we can kind of overlap. So I cannot remember, did the last time we recorded, had I already purchased a laundry store simulator and talked about it a little bit?
I think you bought it, but I don't know if we talked about it a lot.
You don't know, talked about it.
Again, this was a month ago, man. I don't remember anything.
So in my like trifecta of different simulator games, I've also bought a mall one that wasn't very good so far. It needs work. But one day, whatever day I was messing around on Steam, discovered, I've been bitten really hard this year by simulator games with the supermarket one. Demolished that one. That's the one I put the most time into. They have put some substantial updates to that, so I do need to go back to that one. But I was bitten by that one. Then we talked about the trading card one. That one's pretty good as well. But again, I've hit the wall on that one as well. Then randomly one day, I went on Steam and there's a laundry store one. And I bought it pretty much the day it came out, and I took the gamble. It was like $8. I was like, I'll take the hit on it and see. And I've been sucked into that pretty hard. It is, unlike the other two, it is a finished product, but they're still adding stuff to it. In fact, they just did an update yesterday at the time of this recording that added like another level and a couple more helpers or like employees that you can hire. So, but that game continues to be fun. It is a little more monotonous than I think the other two, but there's like hidden weird stuff. Like we talk about like all these simulator games, like even Power Wash Simulator, they have like these hidden things in them. Like, like Power Wash, different levels, they'll have something like, oh, here's a magic, magic like glass ball that has like a cat in it or something. Like there's some weird thing with UFOs going on. This game has stuff like there's a copy of Slender Man in it that just starts showing up at one point, and then I figured out you could go and help him. He's in the game, they refer to him as Slendy Man with a Y.
It's probably copyrighted, right?
But I have to imagine
because of the movie. Just for the movie.
I'm impressed that they're still doing Slender Man references in 2024, 25.
There's a whole like hidden element to this game that involves like people being kidnapped. That's really bizarre.
Well, let me ask you this: is there a part where like you go outside and then there's like a red balloon by the sewer? That would be crazy.
If only a video game would do something like that.
I would say I wish. No, so what they'll do is they'll do stuff like, okay, every day you open up, there'll be a missing person poster on your door. And if you go and look at it, like sometimes it's a kid, sometimes it's an adult. If you look at it, it plays like a weird, like creepy musical cue. And then later in the night when you're getting ready to close, that person will show up like under the streetlight. And if you go try to interact with them, they run away. I'm sure there's more to that I just haven't figured out yet because I'm too busy doing laundry. So that's part, but like that's a hidden element of this game. I'm doing my job. I'm making money.
In a hard day's work.
I got to pay off $10,000 to a guy that looks like Mr. Monopoly. So But yeah, I really like it. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been my like simulator addiction. I like it more than the trading card one.
Does that game just use the assets from Arcade Paradise for the laundry room?
No, it's different.
No? Okay.
And it is different enough that it seems like it is on a different engine than the other simulator games. So like the supermarket one and the trading cards seem like they're on the same one.
Right.
This seems different. And it plays a little bit different. I think this one plays more polished because you can kind of lock the machines in to where you want to put them in your store in a way that it's a little more loose in the other games. So,
you can actually like move stuff around?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can once you put stuff down too, you can pick it up. You can rearrange the room however you really want to. So, but then you'll hire, the other fun thing that happened in the game is so like you can hire different employees when you get to a certain point. So like you'll have somebody that is in charge of washing, somebody that's in charge of drying and doing the ironing. And then at one point you get a guy that's a delivery guy. And I forgot, like, so when you get them, you have to go to your computer and you have to set it up to auto pay them every day. Oh. Otherwise, they're not getting paid. I forgot to do that with the delivery guy. So I come into work the next day and he's literally sitting out in front of the store holding a sign that says will not work until paid. Oh, that made me laugh because I'm like, what is going on here? Then I realized, I got to pay him.
You're a horrible boss. That's what you just realized.
That's what I realized. So I like the game a lot. I'm having a blast with it. So that's been my go-to. Like I will come in, turn on my computer, and then I listen to a lot of YouTube like scary story videos, and I play Laundry Store Simulator. So, but I've been playing a lot of that. Some of the other things I played, speaking of simulator games, I went back. I did all of the DLCs for Power Wash Simulator, completely 100% that game.
I just finished all those too.
The minute I finished it, the very next day they announced they're going to do a Wallace and Gromit DLC in March.
Hey, that's great though.
Oh no, I will go back gladly and I'll pay my $6 or whatever and gladly do it. So
but that's how you stay engaged.
Power Wash Simulator for me has come. It's very similar to Amiibo.
Okay.
Where I really enjoy it, but every time a new one gets announced, I'm like, yes. I want to be done.
Oh shit.
I just want a 2, like a sequel 1.
I do too.
Whatever that. Not that means anything. Like it's going to be any different, but I would like to see a full sequel as opposed to just like more piecemeal licensed DLCs.
Yeah.
Like the Shrek one was interesting, but some of those areas are huge.
Yeah, that was the only one that was glitchy for me too. Was the Shrek one?
The first one, the leading like the entrance to the castle place. It was huge and kind of boring, to be fair. Like it was
compared to the
straight lines. Yeah,
for sure. But I love that game. So
one of my favorite podcast games. I think of
recent
memory. I really enjoy it.
For sure. For me, it's been putting on old episodes of Coach. Watching that in the background while I play Power Wash. So, but I played a lot of that. There was one day when we were going through the Black Friday sales where I got on a kick of Sonic. So I bought all the Sonic games that I've missed this generation. So I got Sonic Origins, which has like 1, 2, 3, and I think Sonic and Knuckles. What was the most recent one? Like the remake of Generations with Shadow, right?
Yeah, Sonic's like Sonic X Shadow. Yeah.
Okay, I bought that, and then whatever the one was right before it, I can't remember. But I bought those 3, and I was like, I need to do this, and then I realized like I don't know why I did that, but I did it. And then I loaded up Sonic Origins, and I played like half of the original Sonic, which I don't think I've looked at the original Sonic in at least a decade. So, because I didn't grow up as a Sega kid, so.
No, I didn't either. My buddy had one, and that was like all we really played.
Was how I
like
played
Sonic 2 and like triple play baseball and stuff. But I played a lot of Sonic 2 and 3 and Knuckles.
But yeah, so I got those. So at some point I'll look at those other 2. I've been waiting for a long time for this remake of the old Wizardry, which I'm going to butcher the name, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. I've been waiting for a long time for that to come down. I know there's a physical version of it coming out, but they finally on the PlayStation, everybody's doing holiday deals. So the digital store for PlayStation had it at a decent price. So I picked up, played a little bit of it there. It's a remake of the original Apple II game.
Oh God!
But it is built upon the original engine. But they also did. So there's 2 modes. You can play it originally, like it originally was, just in the new graphical update, or you could play it with quality of life improvements, which I would highly recommend.
So just old hard as balls, unintuitive old version. Or
so the thing that's crazy about that game that I realized is like, so you create your own party, or you can go to the little tavern and pick people, and then when you go in and venture into the dungeon or the cave or whatever they call it in the game, if your entire team dies, you immediately go back to the town. And the only way to get those people back, you have to create or hire new people and go in and rescue them.
That's pretty cool, though. I like that.
It's pretty cool. Like something you wouldn't see in a game today. So, but I played a little bit of that. I'll let you talk more about this one, Dan, because you have more time on it than I do. But the hot Genshin clone, Wuthering Waves.
Wuthering Waves, yeah.
I played like an hour. I got to the city, but I will say I really liked what I played of it. And I think it's awesome. But you have played a lot more than I have.
Significantly more than that.
There's a main reason why I haven't played more of it, so I thought I was going to sit down and finally play through Kingdom Come Deliverance because the new one's coming out and I want to play it. But then I've had this itch since I bought it over the holidays to play Red Dead Redemption again. And I decided to just give it and open that. And I've already put about 10 hours into it since I opened it. So I've played quite a bit of it, and I'm enjoying Red Dead Redemption again for the first time. And I realized today, since you said it's been 15 years since that game came out. That seems crazy.
I know.
2010. So great. And it's a great, if you have a PS5 and you play that PS4 version that came out, it's a great version. Runs at 60. And the quality of the writing is still great on that game. So
it's weird to think like Rockstar games in general just really was like the PS3 360 era is when all of them came out. And then
when they came out, like they had Bully,
GTA 5 and Red Dead 2, and that's it. But like
they had Bully at the tail end of PS2, and then they re-released it. They had LA Noire. They had GTA 4, then GTA 5. Yeah. But it was a big era.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, Red Dead 2 is basically the only like
Red Dead 2, which was also very good. Which I believe you haven't played all of.
That's next on the list of like big games to play.
Also a great game. So, but that covers all of those things. So we can talk, and I'll say my piece on it, and then I'll let you talk on it because I've fully completed the game. You have not, and that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Which came out, I want to say it came out like maybe a couple days before we recorded last time. So like I hadn't had a chance to really dive into it. So I fully completed the game. I absolutely love the game. As I told you, Dan, like this, I would put this up neck and neck as like 4th indie movie in terms of story. It is shocking to me, like how much the people that wrote this game understand the character, understand the humor of those movies, and like they get it. It fits in perfectly where it should within its timeline. As I told you, like we can joke and laugh about the name The Great Circle is not a very good name, but when you find out, and I won't spoil what the twist of what the actual thing is, but when you do find out, it then becomes clear. Okay, I understand why they named it this.
Right.
Because if they named it what it actually is, it would give away everything. So
it's a butthole, isn't it? It's a butthole.
It's a circle around one.
Exactly.
It has a fantastic villain. Like I said, some of the biggest things you'll take away is like we kind of, we're like on the whole Troy Baker thing when they announced and showed the trailers. It is like jaw dropping how much he just sounds like Harrison Ford at that age.
It's weird to a point, like where you forget that it is him after a while. Now I had to like almost remind myself, like, oh man, that is Troy Baker. But you the only time hear it if you're listening for it
a little bit. The mocap, like his facial animations, will be what will take me out of it a little bit because every once in a while you'll see like, that doesn't seem like Harrison Ford. But
no, I still have like just some weird thoughts just on that in general. I've not played the game yet, so I haven't seen it in practice. But like, if you're gonna hire Troy Baker, why like to hire him just to do a Harrison Ford impression is weird to me. Like I know they probably couldn't get Harrison Ford, and that's fine. But like, to make a big deal about hiring Troy Baker and they'd be like, all right, just sound like Harrison Ford as much as possible.
It's a little odd.
Seems
that,
weird.
Yeah, that they
Instead of just letting him do a thing,
or
or
find a guy who just sounds like Harrison Ford, and you don't have to pay Troy Baker to do it.
Right.
Well, and I think the thing that sold me on it more, and I think this is what helps it, is if you watch that most recent movie, the first 25, 30 minutes of it is de-aged Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. Which the de-aging, it looks fine, but when you hear him speak,
looks about as good as the game.
Yeah, there you go. But when he speaks, it's so noticeable. Hey, it's Harrison Ford is in his 80s. So I think if they were to get him, it would sound too out of place.
I don't think I would have liked it if Harrison Ford had actually done the voice, because it wouldn't match up with what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And for me, the point I make, and I don't know if this would be popular or if it would just throw people out of it too much because Harrison Ford is so tightly attached to who Indiana Jones is. But for me, it's the disconnect isn't that they hired Troy Baker or that they didn't hire Harrison Ford. It's that they hired Troy Baker to sound like Harrison Ford. That's the part that's weird.
I think it is a little bit, but I think if you had gotten Troy Baker and just been like, yeah, man, just talk, it would be off-putting, because the game does such a great job of fitting into established Indiana Jones canon of even Brody is in the first level.
Yeah, he is.
And I was like, oh my God, they even bothered to put him in. It would make sense in the storyline, but they even bothered to put him in, and he looks correct and he sounds correct, at least from what I can remember. But yeah, I think if they hadn't done a Harrison Ford impression, you probably could have got over it after a while, but it still would have just been the one thing they didn't bother to do to make it an Indiana Jones experience.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like I said, maybe he's too tightly attached to the character.
He is.
It was one of the reasons I couldn't get into the Avengers video game, other than the game itself.
Yeah, that was hard.
But the MCU is that's what people's brain thinks of those characters now.
Yeah,
and when they were just doing other things, you're just like, well, that's not Robert Downey Jr.
I think part of it too is if you were to do a Bond game, I don't think it matters as much because we've had so many different Bonds.
Yeah.
It's not a person, it's a character. I think you're right, Ryan, where Indiana Jones, it's almost the other way around, where it's Harrison Ford and he is Indiana Jones. So anything not like that is odd, because even the older ones, like the PS2 and the Xbox ones, they at least made him look the same.
Right.
They did. Yeah. They did. But those were even more people, unknown people trying to mimic the voice.
But for this Bond game coming up from IO, whenever we get that finally announced and everything, if that's not one of the established Bonds, I think I'm okay with it, because I just expect that to be
that'll just be a new
character. Yeah, it's whoever.
Yeah, exactly.
The current one's dead, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Because now let me ask you this about Indiana Jones: is Shia LaBeouf in it?
Thank God, no.
No.
Well, he's not. He doesn't. Does he exist at this point? I'm trying to think if he exists at this point.
No, he doesn't exist at this point.
He wouldn't exist because this is 1937.
This game takes place maybe a year or two after Raiders.
A year after Raiders.
Yeah.
And
so, it's not a spoiler to say that the intro and tutorial of this game, you play the intro of Raiders. They faithfully recreated the opening of that movie.
It's really cool.
And it works really well, and it's surprising how faithful it is.
It was
it also cuts at the right point where I think if you would have done more, it would have overstayed its welcome.
No, you did exactly the amount you needed to do to get it. And I like how they play it off where it's more it's a dream he's having. He remembers as he wakes up in his office. Because it
does, and it also helps that this game is first person and it's its own thing. Because that was the other thing going into this before they showed. I mean, we kind of figured when it was originally announced, it's Machine Games, people make Wolfenstein, that it would be first person. But to do it any other way would have been, hey, it's too close to Uncharted or Tomb Raider. And this makes it really feel like it's its own unique thing. And to mention, even in combat and stuff, so for example, a lot of the game is stealth, and it's kind of, if you think about Indiana Jones movies, it's kind of what he's doing most of the time. But he can't just knock somebody out. He has to have an object, or he has to have some sort of weapon like a shovel or something that you pick up. But there'll be times too that, like, much like an Indiana Jones movie, like you might have a situation where, like, hey, let's say I have this little shovel and I throw it at this guard that I'm going to fight. They might just fucking catch it. And then you're like, oh shit, so they do stuff like that in the game that's like unique. So
I think it's wild that the fact that you have a pistol, but like the entire time I've been playing it, I've never pulled it out.
Haven't used it at all.
I used it once in my entire playthrough. My playthrough was pretty much just punching or the whip. And the whip's great. So because that was my big thing going into it too. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to translate it into a first person adventure well, like they do, but it does, like, surprisingly well. So
I was worried that it would feel too linear, like you're going here and you're doing this level, and you're going here and you're doing this level, and it's like, and you're globe trotting around searching for stuff. The fact that it's like hub based, at least for like this part and some other parts later, it's crazy. Like the amount of stuff there is to do,
the detail
is unbelievable. I had no idea that they would have it. Like there's side quests, there's general exploration, there's item collecting. You can take pictures, you can do all of this kind of stuff, and it's all interesting to do. And I'm always like, oh, a picture I can take. Can you take a picture? It's like, it's always fun to do. It's crazy to me that they put this much thought into what an Indiana Jones game could be, because it could have just been, here's 10 levels. Each one of them's 30 minutes, and you run through it.
The crazier thing is this game was announced, if I remember correctly, in 2021. Was it? I think it was 2021.
Sounds right, 20.
And it came out within 3 years. And it's this good. like it's very good. It didn't take 7 years. You know what I mean? Like they got the license, and I'm sure they were working on it before they announced it. It wasn't like they just were like, hey, this is our intentions. But it's amazing to me that they actually they stuck the landing and actually made a great game out of it. The
environments look great. I was telling you, like, I'm surprised at how, we said it kind of before, that I'm surprised how well they nail like Indiana Jones humor kind of stuff. Because there's one, this is not really a spoiler, but it's, so during this like Vatican mission, you have to dress as a priest to kind of get around places, and you're pretending to be like a priest from America, and everybody's kind of pissed because they're like, why are you here? And at one point, this Nazi runs up to you and he's like, oh, I love America, it's so great. And you're just kind of like, okay, awesome. And you go, because he wants to get away from him. He's like, no, take my confession. And he forces Indiana Jones into a confession booth to like listen to it. And he talks about how he's been like sleeping with his mother-in-law, and he thinks he got his wife and his mother-in-law pregnant. Oh. And Indy just goes, man. And Indy just is like, Jesus Christ. And the guy goes, wait a minute. He's like, wait a minute, you're not a priest? And he goes, screw it. And he punches a hole through the fence into the guy's face and knocks him out. And then he gets out and he kind of looks down at the guy hanging out of the booth as he shuts the door, and he goes, well, you deserved it anyway. And that's the end of that. It's like, it felt so much like an Indiana Jones movie moment where like he gets into some dumbass situation and it's just like, it's quick, it's funny, and it's over. It's a little slow to get going, I felt, because like, you're kind of learning how to do stuff. So I wasn't really drawn into it right away. But as it progressed, and now that I'm able to kind of walk around and explore and kind of figure out how I get in here or how I do this, I'm having a blast.
I will say, like, when you get to it a little bit later, there is one action scene that is really ridiculous. Like, even if you looked at it from the view that it is an indie movie, you would probably roll your eyes.
There's always got to be one, though.
Yeah. So, but
you were right, Kyle. It was January 2021 that they announced.
Yes, it just seems wild to me that game, like, 3 years and it was out, and they actually stuck the landing. So, and I mean, we've seen it's been successful. It is going to come to PS5. I would imagine how well it's done. They're probably going to ramp that to be out pretty quick for the PS5. So,
correct me. I thought they said that it was going to be February. I could be making that up in my head. But,
was the most they can do.
Okay.
But February's so full of other stuff that I don't know if they would want to.
I don't know why that was in my. I could have just made that up and mixed it up with something else, but for whatever. I will say though,
spring of 2025, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
There is something about me that wishes they would have made it third person, just to see some people do some like gymnastics to be like, Indiana Jones stole from Uncharted.
Yeah,
I just wanted to hear those.
No,
rants. That would have been.
But Uncharted stole from Tomb Raider. and Tomb Raider stole from Indiana Jones. So if you think about it,
Indiana Jones stole from itself.
Right, exactly. That's what the Dial of Destiny movie is about.
That's the great circle.
Yeah.
They stole from themselves.
But yeah, just from top to bottom, a phenomenal game. Yeah. But I'll kick it to you, Dan.
Well, you forgot to mention the other game you and I played together.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Godfall.
But
I don't think we really talked about it last time because we had just finished Outriders.
Right.
But we have
put that on the shelf.
Played, I'd say, a fairly decent amount of Godfall to the point that aren't we almost close to the end of the story mode of the game? 2
missions left in the story.
Okay.
And then we have, bullshit collection. Yeah, killing things.
I really like it though.
It's actually pretty good.
It's pretty good. It looks great for a launch game.
Title made by Gearbox. It's pretty good. It's the only thing I'll say about it's incredibly bare bones game. There's nothing to it at all. It's get a weapon, mash some buttons, upgrade the weapon. If you were
to ask me about the lore, I couldn't tell you.
We have to kill our brother who wants to become God by killing gods, I think.
Didn't you tell me the final mission is called Godfall?
It's in an incredibly meta move. The final mission of the game is called Godfall. Those famous Borderlands writers. How do they do it? It's just hack and slash. But I would say if I were playing it alone, I would not enjoy it.
No, I think it works well as a co-op game. My only gripe with it is there's no auto lock on the enemies.
That is crazy, and it makes it very difficult to. Just control where you're
the Dark
going.
Souls player in me, it really annoys me.
Any other video game ever player in me is upset about no lock-on function. Considering it is such a fast-paced weapon, and it's all about combos and all that stuff. It's kind of whatever, but shockingly good. That game still looks incredible.
Yeah, I'm surprised for a game that would be a little over 4 years now. Yeah. It still is quite a showpiece.
There's always that one launch title on a system that just looks good forever, and it never changes. A lot of times that's Dead or Alive, but that doesn't exist anymore. At least not in that function.
Oh.
But yeah, Godfall, not bad. We'll finish that. We were just looking for another forgotten co-op game to play.
Should we share what we determined as the next game?
Well, you put it on the list. I haven't agreed to it yet, but
I kind of wanted to. So it's a game I've already played.
I know,
but I noticed that I think it was a plus game at one point.
Yeah, so
that's why we have it. But the terrible 2022 Saints Row game. I played to completion.
As someone who's platinum Agents of Mayhem, I can't really speak bad about.
It's probably more fun with somebody else. I mean, I played it solo when it came out, but it's not Saints Row.
It's in the possible category, I guess. But all right, there's that. Wuthering Waves we can talk about. So like I said, I played a considerable amount more than you. I don't even know how many hours I played. I don't even know why I've played this many hours. It's literally the only way to describe the game. It is Genshin Impact 2 if it were made by someone else.
Yeah.
The similarities between it are so glaring. I thought they made it. I was like, this is just like the sequel, because I've played Genshin and I've played Honkai Star Rail, and I've played Zenless Zone Zero, and those 3 games are wildly different from each other. This is literally Genshin again. I don't get it because I doubt it matters because it's all Chinese companies, but there has to be copyright infringement in here somewhere.
It's got to be a little bit of
it's wild. It has the same type of combat. It has the same basic mission structure. It has the same gacha mechanics. Not that those are wildly different, but it is the same.
It follows the literal same beaten path, at least from the intro of Genshin.
It's like your character wakes up and they don't know who they are, and hey, join our team, and you're in the thing. It's like the same story they all write. Yeah, it's so weird. Like I don't know why.
But I liked what I played of it.
It's still good. It plays good.
Yeah,
that's really all that matters. It plays good. I'll probably play a lot more of it. The trophies seem doable, unlike everybody else's other favorite game, Infinity Nikki, which is literally impossible. But so there's that. I finished Gotham Knights.
Sorry.
The story, the DLC, the platinum, it's all done. That game sucks. It's just not good. The last two things we had to do were like raid mode things that they added later on for free. And one of them is there's like part 1 and part 2. And part 1 is like you fight the enemy of that raid is Starro, which is incredibly weird. But it's literally just like you do. It's like levels of a tower. And it's just like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. The only problem is we were under leveled to do that. The first one is 30 floors, and we're really because that game is incredibly gear dependent. Level means nothing; it's all gear. So we were very low on gear, and we're like, man, this is going to take forever. It's going to be a slog. But then if you go do the second raid, it starts at a much higher level.
Okay.
So if you can just get through the first floor, you immediately earn gear from the first floor of the second one that is far superior to anything you can get in the first one entirely.
Oh,
so we just kind of forced our way through the second one first and then breezed through the first one, which is better because it took forever. First one also has really shitty escort missions. You have to protect. It's like Overwatch. You have to protect the payload through this thing.
That sucks.
It's awful. I guess I get in the end. I get what the game was supposed to be, but they really dropped the ball, especially on like the post game stuff. It's bad, but it's over now, and that's all that matters.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
Until Suicide Squad.
I guess so. No, that's on the back burner. We're gonna do Borderlands 3 first. I can't go to Suicide Squad right after this.
I feel like you need to play a couple things before
Suicide Squad. From Gotham Knights, please.
No.
Yeah, you need a nice steel wool bath.
A year and a half off. The last major thing I played, I want to say about half. It's hard to tell with these games, but I played that Dragon Quest III HD remake to about halfway through the game. That game is incredibly good. Like, I think we talked about it a little bit last time because I'd started it.
A little bit, yeah. You just scratched.
Now that I'm like halfway through the game, in Dragon Quest fashion, the game has like changed how it works. You can change jobs. You can learn different spells. I finished like the first part where I had to collect all the orbs, and now I have to go do all these other objectives. But then that game always has those like difficulty spikes of you hit a boss, and the boss is just like, you're not meant to be here. Because it kicks your ass. You have to go out and level and then rethink your strategy. And I had to change jobs and level up and all that. But the sicko part of me likes that kind of stuff. Like I love grinding in RPGs. I don't know why, but I can do it for hours.
It's the original podcast game for me. It's just grinding out levels.
Thing in the world, because I literally just ran in circles at the base of this mountain where I would have to climb up and fight the boss. I do it for a couple hours. Move everything around, figure stuff out, go up, face the boss. Nope, you're still here too early. I'm like, fuck. But then I was playing a lot of the game on I'll just pick what my person does and let the other three people, fight wisely.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a huge mistake in that game for bosses because they don't prioritize damage, they prioritize support. And sometimes you just need to hit the bosses as hard as you can. But yeah, I like the game a lot. I've been on a small break from it. I'll probably have to go back to it soon just so I don't forget too much of it. But the best thing about this like quality of life upgrade is it has like objective indicators.
Okay.
Because the game is very obtuse and does not explain to you at all. Like it'll give you a brief hint where it's like, maybe you should go check out this. You're like, I don't know what the fuck that is. I've never seen that before. And the map is huge and all I have is a boat. But now it's like there's like a yellow circle that'll pop up and you're like, it's probably over here. And you're like, oh, thank God. But yeah, that game is great. I'm excited for those other two.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about that as well, and not that I would do this, is because a lot of old school people bitch about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you can turn off the HUD indicator.
Oh, it's off by default. It's off by default.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to use it if you want to suffer.
I played a lot of it without it, to be fair. Just as like, let's see how much I can do. And then it got to a point where it's like, I kind of just want to progress. And I'm tired of looking around and like, there's stuff I would have missed for sure if I had not looked at this thing. There's this one part where there's like a warp palace, and that's how you actually get into this place over here. You would never know that unless like you would talk to literally everyone in the game and like made notes and all this kind of stuff. But it got to a point where I was just like, I need to turn this on because I'm over it. And whatever.
You gave it an honest effort.
I tried.
That's all.
I probably played about 15 hours with it off. but that was enough. But yeah, that's it for me for major stuff. Really haven't played anything else.
But you, Matt?
Well, I've been gone for like 6 weeks, so
you probably have more than any of us.
Thankfully, though, I've pretty much played a lot of. I played. I think essentially, where you're at, Dan, in Indiana Jones. I'm in the Vatican right now, just kind of running around.
Yeah, I've done most of the side stuff. I think I have like one more to go before.
And like I said, that's the biggest hub of the hub areas in that game. That's the largest.
I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it so far. I've been playing a little bit of Luigi's Mansion 3, a little more of that. The downfall is my youngest son has essentially taken my Switch over, and so I can't play anymore. But also the downfall of it is he's found out how to delete saved data.
Oh, no.
So he is literally deleting games as we're progressing in them and going back to the very beginning. So I can't touch my Switch right now because it makes me mad.
If you need one, I have 13 sitting in a. I told you, I collect too much.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I might have to take you up on that offer.
Yeah.
I did finish Call of Duty.
Okay, I
finished the campaign. It was good. It wasn't. I mean, it's a Call of Duty game. Campaigns are always decent. They're not like crazy great. I can say I wasn't a big fan of the last mission because it like intertwines with like 2 different missions into one. Like you're essentially what you do is you become part of the villain female that's in there, and you're kind of overtaking her mind, and she's trying to lead you to the place you need to be, and then it cuts to you trying to fight your way out of the castle or the mansion, and it's like
derailing a little bit.
Yeah, it's not really. Aside from that, it was okay, but it's not. I mean, it's fun. It was still fun. Most of the missions were fun. I bought myself college football because I found it on a deal. I've been playing a bunch of that. Cool. I got a PS5 for Christmas. I decided to take a dive into that. And I bought Astrobot and Sparking Zero. So that has been a fun one. I could definitely say Astrobot is very entertaining.
It's a very good game.
Oh, yeah, very good game. Sparking Zero is also really good too. I really enjoyed that too. Playing a little bit of Pikmin 3, Pikmin 4, they're essentially the same games. They're still very good. I mean, I have nothing wrong with them, but they're still the same. The other day, though, I did see this game on sale called The Operator.
Okay.
It was on Steam, so I went ahead and bought it. It was only $2. And I figured to myself, well, let's just dive in and see what this is about because the premise sounded interesting. It's actually really short. There's 4 missions.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's really not that long. But what you are is you're an operator in what they refer to as the FDI.
Okay.
And you are essentially, I don't even really want to call you IT. So like agents in the field will call you and they'll send you data so you can review it and help them solve the case.
Okay.
But as you're finding out information and solving the cases, you start to see how the FDI is like corrupt. And like you're starting to find little inconsistencies and things. All in all, for $2, man, it was actually a really fun game.
That's cool.
I'm not really mad at the purchase. I did mess something up in the gameplay, so I may go back through it and finish and do it again so I can try to see if I can fix what I messed up.
Sure.
Because even when you mess up, it doesn't really hinder the rest of the play. Like you just keep moving. So it'd be cool to see what happens. Also, one of my good friends has been sending me games to demo on Steam.
Okay.
So I demoed this game called Acts of Blood. That is
the most video game title of video games.
It really is. It really is. It essentially is like that game Sifu that came out.
Okay.
Not as hard. It's actually a little bit easier, and you get to actually use weapon like guns versus what you play in Sifu. You don't actually have that ability. So it makes it a little bit easier, and you can like. So at one point, my guy had an axe, and I chucked it at a dude because I had like 5 guys coming at me one time. Immediately took him out, and I was like, "Well, thank God that I don't have to refight all 5 of these guys, and I can just pick up random weapons and start throwing them at people." And so that's actually good. It's not a very long game. It's a pretty short one. I think the demo itself is like 15 minutes, really. Okay. But it's fun. It's not that clean, so it can go through some polishing. But yeah, it's not bad. I don't know when the release date is scheduled to pop out on it, but I wouldn't pay like $50 for it. I can definitely tell you that. So I'm definitely interested to see what the finished game shows up as. I also played another demo of a game called Spirit X Strike. It is kind of like the old 3D beat 'em up games. It reminds me kind of like of Ninja Gaiden, and they said kind of God Hand. I didn't play much of God Hand from what I remember, but it's not bad. I mean, it plays like a 3D beat 'em up. It's pretty solid. The only thing I will say about it is the camera mechanics on it are kind of trash. And I will say that because it gives you the ability to lock on people, but then the camera just kind of does its own thing, and it just starts like free following you everywhere. So then sometimes you end up like looking at yourself through a wall, so the camera angles are kind of wonky. Like all in all, it's not bad. The combo systems are interesting. I really don't see it being a big game because I kind of see how just playing the demo, the combos can get kind of boring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. It's not horrible. But I would definitely say, like, if it's on a Steam sale whenever it comes out, I would definitely grab it then. Just so you don't feel like you're wasting your 20 games worth of money on something bad.
Yeah, it's already off the list. If we're gonna get a Switch too, I can't be. I can't be taking chances.
Didn't you also get a Series X over the holiday?
I did, and that's what I actually bought. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you about this shit right now.
Yeah, this man on his way to 2020. I like it.
There you go.
I was really upset with myself when I made that purchase, but I went to Costco, and the only reason I bought it was because it came with 2 controllers, and I was like, well, why not? Let's just grab it. It's at a really good rate, and I bought the X, and then I wasn't going to buy a PS5. I really wasn't, because I saw the prices and I was like, I just can't push to do it when I just bought this. And I was like, all right, cool. And then all of a sudden PlayStation dropped it like almost like $75, $80.
I think so. Yeah.
And I was like, well, damn. I was like, let's just go ahead and pull the trigger because I'm not going to buy myself a PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just do it. And I'm really upset with myself that I did it, but then I've also told myself I don't need to buy games for them right now because there's nothing out there that I want to play. And anything that I want to play that's available is essentially available in the Series X, and I have Game Pass.
On Game Pass, yeah.
So I'm like, if it's not on Game Pass, I don't need to worry about it. Like, let's forget it, Matt. Let's just go through it.
It needs to be a very damn good game.
It needs to be a very damn good, because like over the holiday season, then I spent a lot of money on Switch games and I can't even play my Switch right now. All right. So I've got like, you can see it a little bit, but there's like a whole stack of games under this Joker Funko of Switch games that I've hid from my son. Because I want to play them, and I can't play them because the little turd nugget keeps deleting data. And there's no way of locking your profile like you can on every other system that you can do on the Switch. And I was like, this is trash. So he's just taking it over. And then I ended up trying to replace the Joy-Con stick on this Switch, and I ended up touching the metal part of the battery cable, and I shorted it out. So now I can't do anything right now. So I'm like, well, you know what? I guess I'll wait till the Switch 2 announcement to see if it's really viable, if it's something I really want to pull. Because, I mean, as of right now, everything's backwards compatible. But then I'm like, if I buy a Switch 2, is my son going to try and steal that from me? And then I'm back to just not having shit.
You have to put it under lock and key.
I hid my Series X behind this TV. It's sitting back there. Okay. And I haven't pulled the controller out, so he doesn't even know that you can play the Xbox in this game.
There you go.
So I wait till he's asleep at like 2:00 in the morning.
There you go.
And I can run a match of college football before I pass out. It's the worst.
So what you're saying?
I'm horrible.
I'm really looking forward to having to hide my hobbies from my son. That's gonna be
no. I mean, kids are great, Ryan. They're the perfect. They're the world.
Make sure you get them their own is what it is.
Yeah. That's why I have 13.
Crack out one of your Switches.
That's why I have 13 Switches.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be way busier with my wife beforehand.
You can have this awful launch Switch, son. You can earn the OLED.
Yeah. He can have my yellow Switch Lite.
Exactly.
That's the one he gets.
There you go. Anything you've played recently, Ryan?
I haven't had the most time in the world. We've been doing a lot of traveling back home for holiday stuff. I played Russian roulette with a blizzard. That was nice.
Oh God, yeah.
Luckily, I was able to get my flight moved a day earlier, and it was starting to the beginning of the 7 inches of snow was starting as our plane was taking off. So I made the right move on that.
Yeah.
As far as games go, I've been replaying the original Super Mario RPG.
Ooh,
okay.
Cause I wanted to play that before I played the new one. I hadn't played the old one in forever. So I kind of wanted to see, I want to have a point of reference for what's actually different and how it plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that all I've had time, I am almost finally finished after a year and a half with Cookie Clicker.
Oh, the click. Okay.
Well, all achievements, everything done. I think 400 ascensions away from getting the last shadow achievement.
There was a while you were into the clicker games, Dan.
I played what was the one I played a lot? Clicker Heroes, that really shit one.
I had 100% of that for Xbox.
I did it for PlayStation. Yeah. That game. You want to talk about ascensions? Oh man, that game.
Yeah, a lot. And these type of games, generally speaking, by nature, they're not really super intrusive to your skill or your brain power.
Yeah.
Just
really
at a certain point, at a certain point, you're just all right, I have 3 out of 679 achievements left. I can't leave those undone. So I got to finish this up. I've enjoyed my time, but man, the amount of my friends, because it pops up on my Discord as I'm playing it all the damn time, because I usually just leave it running to build stuff.
So you can check on it, yeah.
They're like, you really love clicking cookies, don't you, buddy? You're like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But when you have a young kid who needs a lot of attention, sometimes your way of tricking your brain into saying that I'm playing video games is to have something like Cookie Clicker just up, and then periodically during the day being like, oh, okay, I'll buy that. I'll do that. I played a game.
There you go. No, I know that feeling. That's a lot of my time during our holiday break is why I stuck to the simulator games and stuff. I just didn't want to put in the effort on something more involved.
Yeah, so. I mean, when your time's going to be all over the place, my brain, emotionally, I really want to dive into something like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But I also know I might get 4 hours of it, and then life's going to happen, and then I won't get to play it for 3 weeks. Then I'll be like, what the hell is happening? I guess I'll start over, but I don't want to do that because I've already put in 4 hours. And so right now, a lot of games that I can play is either stuff I've played before or something, there's not a lot of lore to Cookie Clicker I need to worry about.
No, for sure.
Getting back into.
No, for sure. But yeah, we can kick over to news. There's some news. There's a couple bigger things and stuff which we'll get to. But I try to keep it light, a little bit lighter. Some of these will fly through. Elden Ring, Night Rain as it was announced at the Game Awards, is surprisingly not going to have crossplay, which I think is surprising given I am both surprised that they're not going to push for it, but also not surprised because it's from software.
Well, PC would ruin that for a lot of people.
PC would be a nightmare, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still on the fence with that game where like I think it will initially be successful, but I think it's going to be a very divisive game because there is a group of those of fans of that franchise that just doesn't know that the game's not going to be a typical Souls game.
Right. It's going to sell because of the name.
The name alone.
Right.
Because there are, I've already seen it. There are a group of people that just look at it and go, "Oh, Elden Ring 2." It's like that's not what this is.
Or like, a massive DLC like the last thing.
I can imagine it'd be one of the games if we were still at GameStop, where we'd have people coming in. I want that Elden Ring 2. Like that's not what this is, man. I put this in here just so we can chuckle at it. Borderlands 4 promises to avoid the bad humor. I don't know. You and I talked about it. You
can't make that promise.
Bold to step away from what you've done so much of for the past.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
What, 7 games, or how many ever there are now? Like
you're probably close to the number.
Well, there's 3. There's sequel,
pre-sequel.
There's the Wonderlands.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably about right. But and the other thing too about Borderlands is they're scrapping like any Wonderlands 2 to make sure that they work on Borderlands 4.
Which is weird.
It's a strange thing to do considering Wonderlands did pretty well, and I actually really like that one comparatively. But I don't. They can't make that promise.
What if they did Borderlands the movie, the game?
Well, fuck, dude. I mean,
no.
And it's a fighting game.
Yeah,
using the characters.
Oh my god,
and stop motion
with Raul Julia. He's back.
Yes, he's totally back.
He's back again. I don't. You can't trust anything they say about the writing for Borderlands anymore. That series has gone off a cliff since 2.
Well, I think you and I discussed it the last time we recorded because it was right after the Game Awards, but like that was our like worst trailer of the show. Like it just visually
it doesn't look fun. It doesn't look like what you would hope a Borderlands now would be.
Exactly. It just
we'll see.
I don't know.
Guess,
it just didn't look great. I mean, it did not make a very good first impression.
It didn't. So. You know what the thing was? It didn't look like a PS5 game.
No, it looks like a PS3 game.
Yeah.
So, which is not a good thing to say about
That's why they need the toilet humor. They got to make up for the graphical lacking at some other point.
Somehow. Well, like I said, I think we talked about last time. Like I had forgotten that like the villains of the third game were like streamers or it's like twin streamers or something.
I never.
It went way too meta.
Like 4 hours of that.
No, because you and I started and I couldn't do it.
You couldn't handle it, and I was like, I guess I'm just not going to play this.
There was some guy wearing underwear yelling at us about it, or I don't know. It was too much, right? Like this is so far beyond what
the dive, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, you will be soon. I will try to mention this person's name and probably butcher it horribly.
Love it.
But the founder of Ys and the Legend of Heroes games, Masayuki Kato. I think I'm probably pretty close.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
For you, he died at 78.
So not bad.
For me, yeah, pretty good. For everybody else, pretty bad. He passed away recently, which is sad. I mean, the Ys is a franchise that I've only recently got into, like in the last 5-6 years, but really, really like. So, always sad to see that. This I find is one of the worst kept like things that just like there are 2 news articles that are in the news that we're going to talk about today that we have talked about multiple times that keep coming up to the point that like they have to be real at this point. With this first one being Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake has popped up once again. In fact, the biggest rumor that I've seen now is that it's down here a little bit, but we can talk about it now. There is going to be a 2025 Xbox Developer Direct, January 23rd. They are going to be talking about 4 games. So they're going to be talking about Doom, The Dark Ages. They're going to talk about that Expedition 33 game that looks really cool.
Yeah, that one
That game looks rad.
Mm-hmm.
South of Midnight, which I feel like all 3 of these games will probably get dated here. So I think, I've said before, I think Doom is May. So
yeah,
it makes the most sense. But there is a 4th surprise game, and the rumor is that this is the 4th surprise game is Oblivion remake.
I've seen the 4th surprise game could also be Final Fantasy 16.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because remember they did the Mana game last year out of nowhere. Because everybody was like, "Oh, that's weird." They're talking about the Mana game in an Xbox show.
Well, and there's
a lot of like Final Fantasy stuff kicking around right now. And
we can talk about that too, because now the rumors, that was the other rumor I saw today too, is that 16 is going to be announced. And this thing is the 4th game with Final Fantasy 7 remake and rebirth to follow. So
yeah, well, that goes in line with, remember there was a couple months ago where Square was, they finally came to an epiphany, and that company was like, if we release games on more than one system, we'd probably make more money.
Well, and the other reason
they finally have like thought that, maybe that's how it's going to work.
The other reason why I have seen the rumors hitting harder for Final Fantasy 7 remake coming to Xbox is that it is rumored to come to Switch too.
Right.
So that would make, at that point, if you're going to do that, like then you might as well put it everywhere. If your mantra now is we want to put everything everywhere and make maximum money.
I mean, that makes sense.
Well, I think at this point, like their plan is to just put as much stuff on as many things as possible. Like they have to be over because they're one of those companies that complains about we didn't make sales targets like every time. Well, yeah, maybe it's because you only released each game on one system.
Well,
and
that's the thing. Like,
wait to put on PC a year later.
16 was only on PS5,
right?
And that was 2 years ago.
Rebirth was only on PS5, but oh man, we just keep missing these sales targets. Like, yeah, no shit. But to go back to that Oblivion thing really quick, that's got to be like, why hasn't that been done yet?
So the biggest thing that the huge thing that's going to be a huge elephant for them is if it is real, which I think it is. And we've talked about it before, but there's that mod, Sky Oblivion, which I just watched. I watch it every year. I watch their update video, and this is the year that they're supposedly going to launch that by the end of the year. And I just cannot imagine that thing launching, but also like, hey, here's this remake top to bottom in Unreal 5. That rumoredly it's in Unreal 5.
But the thing is they don't care, because remember when the Fallout 4 thing, when those guys were going to put out London, they were like, oh, by the way, the PS5 patch is out, and then it broke the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So they could give a shit about, like, they say that they like the mod community and they're okay with all of it.
Do you think they will break like somehow Skyrim purposefully to break that mod when it comes out?
Shadow patch thing that comes out and all of a sudden that mod doesn't work? Possible. every time Fallout 4 gets an update, more mods break. So
I watch the update video they do every year, except I've been following that mod forever. So but I would love it. I want it, and the rumor is that it's in June.
There's a lot of money to be made in an Oblivion remake for current consoles.
It's one of the few things where it's like, hey, I know it's going to be on Game Pass. I will buy it. I don't care. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
They put it on PlayStation, it'll sell like crazy.
It will, considering that it never ran well.
It barely didn't work. Yeah.
Terrible version of that game. So there is a huge audience they could grasp there.
I feel personally that this hasn't been done yet because every time they're about to, a new console generation comes out and they're like, fuck, we got to get Skyrim on it. Yeah. We have to do this.
They have to do that first.
We got to get Skyrim on this refrigerator before
Skyrim's the new game.
Yeah. It is.
It just feels like they would, because that game, it's been what, 17 years? No.
Came longer. Out. It's been almost 20.
Yeah. I was going to say 18, maybe?
It was a launch window 360 game.
I remember that.
March of 2006.
Yeah, I remember
coming
that.
Up on 19 years.
I was working at Game Crazy when that happened, but
I remember because it is the one and only item that I ever personally paid for with a personal check.
Jesus Christ.
When that game came out, because then after that, I was like, debit cards are the rage. Yeah.
The whole reason Kyle got a checkbook.
It was literally like, I got the checkbook. I was like, me and my buddy went to Best Buy. We bought a copy of it, came home, blew our minds, and then it was like, oh, I guess checks are out, debit cards are in. So, but it's literally the only thing I ever bought with a check in my entire life was a copy of Oblivion when it came out. So
that would be a huge,
long time
ago. A huge deal to release that too. Plus, it also gives them another buffer for Skyrim 2 to not come out for another 7 years or whatever the fuck it is at this point.
Hey, just mod this again.
Yeah.
Mod Skyrim 2 into it. Why not?
Make your own Skyrim 2 in Oblivion remastered.
I put this next article in here because we called bullshit on it when it was announced, and I still think it is. But the whole idea that the Game Awards is bigger than the Super Bowl. Have you looked at this article? Have you looked at these statistics?
Come on now, really?
I don't know. In my head, as someone who's a football fan, and Ryan can attest, like, and even you, Kyle,
it's like bullshit, right? Like, I'm not, and I feel like it's bullshit.
When you and I talked about it before, it's like the Super Bowl is not just a football game, right?
Everybody like
it's an event. It's a party for a lot of people. People watch it for commercials, even though
it's essentially a holiday in America.
Off the last couple years, like commercials aren't a big part of it anymore. But the amount of people that watch the Super Bowl, that number is always like insane. It's triple what a normal football game, like a primetime football game, would ever be. Now, the Game Awards, what it has going for it is it appeals to people a lot more in other countries.
It's a global, a global streamed thing. Yeah,
but it is, the Game Awards are for specific people. Like they are for like video game. Like your mom's not going to come in and watch the video game awards.
Exactly.
But she might watch the Super Bowl. I don't know. The numbers are funny just because. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but
they hit 154 million viewers, is what they're saying.
But what does that mean,
right?
In the grand scheme of,
does that include on demand 7 days later?
Because I also think you're getting in the weeds a little bit. Because I
do too.
Because technically you can be like, oh, Brad Pitt's one of the biggest celebrities in the world, but if you find some like Indian Bollywood guy so it's all contextual as well about what that means, because like a big Bollywood actor doesn't mean shit in America. That's just how it is. But that guy's social media might be 50 million followers, and like so it's like what does it mean in the context of like, if you get more online streaming views, like that matters. That's not nothing.
Sure.
But like the Super Bowl, like are advertisers paying Jeff to like be
not
on there? Because
Super Bowl money,
not like that. So,
it's a lot of money, but it's not Super Bowl money.
Right. At the end of the day, what makes money is the most successful thing. Like like I can have a video on Instagram get 20 million views, and Kevin Hart gets one that only gets 10 million views. Guess what? I'm not bigger than Kevin Hart.
Right.
I just had one video that did all right.
Yeah,
so, like that's totally different.
I think that's a good point though, because like you always hear every year about how much money advertisers pay for 30 seconds of a Super Bowl thing. If the Game Awards was truly getting this many more views than the Super Bowl is, you'd probably be paying a little bit more to throw in, a Doritos ad during the middle of the fucking Game Awards.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's all
like that's nothing to scoff at.
No,
like that's good for this world. Like by no means is that a failure, but also fucking come on, like it's a totally different.
It's not
thing.
A bigger event than the Super Bowl. It's just
there's no way
the biggest event of its kind.
Yeah, it's all context. I have this with my friends sometimes who get excited. Like they'll release a new album on iTunes. And it goes number 1 on iTunes the week it debuts. It's doing better than Gaffigan. It's doing better than all this. And it's like, yeah, but that's cool that you can technically say you had more than this. But also, it doesn't mean anything because you can sell 5 albums and you're number 1 on iTunes because nobody buys albums. So it's like it's how you present the numbers that make it seem like very. It's always like a new game will come out and they'll be like 30 million downloads. Right. 29 million of those people might have played for 10 seconds and went, this shit sucks. But it's how they market it. Look at all these downloads we got. It's crazy. That doesn't mean anyone played it. They just downloaded it.
Yeah. No, I agree there for sure. But it's just a weird thing.
Good question. How many of those millions of viewers watch the entirety of the Game Awards?
Oh man,
yeah. All 13. Is it still going on right now? I think there's still technically some.
Yeah. What if that live stream is just up all the time and somebody tunes in for 2 minutes? Is that another view?
Yeah.
Poor Kojima, he just wants to go home, but it won't. It won't end.
They should put him up in the box with the Muppets next year. He's got to sit in between them.
They should. That would be good. I would like to see that.
I'd watch 3 hours of that.
Then all of a sudden they're in the next Death Stranding game.
Yeah.
There you go. Did any of us watch that Amazon Secret Level show? I didn't get a chance to look at it.
It sounded cool. I never.
It sounds cool. I want to see the Armored Core Keanu Reeves one because that's the one that appeals to me the most. But this is just kind of a bummer that the creators of that pitched Microsoft a Master Chief Doomslayer crossover. But Microsoft said no, just furthering that they don't know what they're doing.
That's insane.
Master
They
Chief.
own both of those things.
They own both of those properties, and that would
It's
be
not like
incredible.
they have to split the credit with someone else. They own both of them.
They both own those properties. Like, why not do it? They're both M-rated technically, right. So there's no like.
Maybe they feel like Doomslayer will overdo Master Chief.
Maybe it's because they have.
There's no problem with that.
Maybe it's because they have a crossover game coming out and they didn't want to spoil it.
I mean, I would be all for it.
I'd be cool with it.
Co-op. One of you's the Doom guy and one of you's Master Chief.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, like the thought of like Doomslayer doing better than Master Chief and them not wanting to do it because of that is like that's some total like
that
Vince
seems
McMahon.
Like
that's some Vince McMahon WWE show. We don't want this guy to be more popular than this guy. You have both guys.
Yeah.
You go have both of them. Like they can both make you money. It's not
have the Doom
that's just
guy
an
be
accounting
the
error. Okay, just an accounting error. Don't talk about it.
He can't be the mascot. Master Chief has to be the mascot, even though. We haven't released a Halo game in a long time.
Hasn't been the mascot, I'd argue, in a long time.
Well, they did make a show, though. Come on, guys. I mean, it's been a recent event.
Right?
The last time you could tell me that he was like the true Microsoft mascot would be Halo 2.
I would argue Halo 3.
I don't know.
Halo 3 was huge.
But I don't know.
But after that, I would say it's because then after that, it was Reach, it was ODST, games that he wasn't even in. And then when 4 came out, it kind of was. I liked 4, but that was kind of the beginning of the end. So
I think the all-time Microsoft mascot for me has been Clippy, that little paper clip that used to be on Word document back in the day. That dude my jam.
I want Doom guy Clippy.
You say that until Blinks comes back. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
The Time Cat,
Time Sweeper.
Oh.
And continuing with Microsoft stuff, Xbox Series system sales are incredibly bad. What a shocker!
Oh, wow!
When you have a brand identity crisis like Microsoft, what's the shocker there that your sales are going to be bad?
I mean, those numbers they refuse to reveal because they're so bad.
Yeah, analysts and people will pick through the information that they can to try and get like the most accurate number. Well, they stopped doing that a while ago because instead, what do they report? Game Pass numbers, right?
They did that for a while. I don't even think they do that anymore. Didn't they stop doing that too?
I don't think they do that anymore because they kind of plateaued on that. So, but the numbers, the way that they're putting it right now, and I think this is through November of last year. So by comparison, the lifetime sales of the Xbox Series X and S, since we're combining both of them, are at a little over 31 million, which I believe PlayStation is like double. I don't think they've tripled it, but they're more than double that. And then I don't know. This is where I get into the weeds of like, should you count the Switch as a current gen console? It started last gen, so it had 3 years to get to this point. Like,
Nintendo's always its own thing.
They
do their own thing.
Yeah.
It's
nobody questions
I would just look
how
at this
much a Nintendo console is going to sell anymore.
Okay. Wait, they're talking about lifetime now, but so they compared it at least that month. So in the month of November, they did not even get out. They didn't even sell 1 million units. They sold 767,000 compared to the 4.1 million PS5 units.
That's a month before Christmas.
And 1.7 million Switch sales.
That's wild.
I would argue we know why the Switch sales are down. We're getting ready to put out a new Switch. And who doesn't own one at this point?
Yeah, who doesn't own 13?
Yeah, exactly.
Switches?
Ryan accounted for 11 of those, I think.
Yeah.
But Well, and the thing, like, just console sales numbers are always bizarre because, like,
they are.
The Switch 2 is going to come out, and you will not be able to get one. Period.
No, it's going to be bad.
But the sales numbers mean nothing if we can't even produce them. That could sell 10 million in a month if they wanted to.
What is it? Matt Piscacinelli or whatever that dude's name is. He was getting some shit because he predicted that, like, when Switch 2 comes out, it's going to be like the second, maybe third best-selling console of the year, and people are being like, "Oh, fuck you! I can't believe." And it's like, well, no, because like people can't get it. Yeah, there just won't be.
That's
enough.
The reason why,
and it's going to have lower numbers. That's not like a hot take. That's not controversial.
And unless the Switch drops in like $100, no one's buying Switches anymore at that point.
Yeah,
so I think they price drop.
They have to. They got to clear.
Yeah.
I think that's we'll get to Switch stuff in a moment here. So the last Xbox thing that I put in here is that there's been more leaks and more evidence pointing to a 2026 launch for the next Xbox. The code name that's going around right now is called Xbox Prime. I don't think it'll be called that.
They legally can't.
I legally don't think they cannot call that, thanks to Amazon.
And Logan Paul, dude.
This is what I predicted a while ago. I think they are going to go in 2026. I think that will force Sony to go earlier. I don't think that Sony's going to wait till 2028. I think they'll go to 2027.
Bro. Like, give me time.
I know, but if Microsoft goes, hey, here's a more powerful system, and here's the key: if Microsoft says, hey, here's a more powerful system, and people buy it,
the problem is they're going to have to not fuck it up, and they've had a real bad history of that pretty recently.
They have a problem with it right now by telling everybody, hey, it doesn't matter if you buy an Xbox because your fucking phone's an Xbox.
So why am I buying a new Xbox if my Samsung fridge is an Xbox?
So what is the marketing pitch going to be for this system then? Like that?
All your devices are actually an old Xbox. None of them are a new Xbox.
But you can only get on this Xbox system here. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. This works. If they and Indiana Jones was a good start to maybe finally they're getting the software out that's going to be good.
I would hope so.
But like if they end up becoming a thing where it's like, you don't like, and this is maybe even a little outdated because everything is streaming, but like a Blu-ray player, you're not excited for the new Blu-ray player to launch. No. It's just a new Blu-ray player that happens to play the new stuff. So it's like, in my head, like maybe Microsoft is just like, hey, here's a new Xbox. In the same way that like here's a new DVD player that can play DVDs, okay. But like so it's like it'll be more power. It's the best way to do it, but we don't give a shit. Play on your phone, play on your whatever. And I feel like that's maybe that's just how their brain is working on it now. They're just trying to do all software, but here's the thing: you can play our software on if you want.
Whatever it is, it has to be one SKU. Literally, it has to be one fucking item. It's going to be digital only, just because. They've already shown they're not printing discs anymore.
No, so we're at that point.
But it has to be one box. It has to be clearly defined. It has to have a name that sets it apart from S and X and 1X and Xbox. You can't even call it Xbox at this point because that doesn't even mean anything anymore.
No,
it needs to be called something.
The Persephone.
Ooh. But it has to be clearly different than everything else that's available right now.
Now it's the time, 720.
There you go. Fuck it up. Xbox 2.
There you
never
go.
Used 2.
But remember, I also think that this handheld's a part of their strategy.
Sure.
Instead of doing another like round of here's an X and here's an S, I think it's here's our primary box, here's our handheld.
That's what they should do.
And they're going to really lean into the handheld, I think. And that's fine.
As long as they handheld play Steam games, they're fine.
Well, I was going to say, as long as it downloads the games and it's not just like a portal, I think it will do really well.
Well, that's why you got to get the Portal 2. Portal 2 is finally going to do what it should do.
Yeah. And then I'll put it out here briefly. Like, there's been another article that's come out that Game Pass is, kind of actually bad for the market. We've talked about that in the past, that like Game Pass, like it is what it is, but I think we've learned as it's gone on that it was a good thing for a while for Microsoft, but now it's hit that plateau, and it's not going to be the future that saves them.
No, I mean, it's still an important part of like what the Xbox brand is. The subscriptions and the library and all that stuff.
They can't just wake up tomorrow and go, we're done with that.
No.
Buy your games again.
They can't stop it. And they can't stop it now after they changed the rules and the pricing again. Like, they cannot stop it. It has to continue. At best for them, they would have to increase the price of it again. But they can use a new system to justify that. They can be like, look,
at that time,
the new system's digital only. It's pretty much a Game Pass box. Now it's $30 a month, whatever the hell they make it.
Do you think they do? Do you think they would do a thing where here's a new tier of Game Pass specifically if you have this version of the Xbox?
Fuck, dude, I would pray that they don't, but it sounds.
I don't either. I don't think they should either.
The fact that like that sounds terrible means that's 100% what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I hate uttering such an idea because you never know.
New tier, I knew it was coming.
Yeah. I hate uttering that, but I can see it.
Ugh.
Well, let's talk about the news that everyone's talking about this week, which is the Switch 2 mock-up that was spotted at CES. That basically we know what a Switch 2 looks like now. We know how the Joy-Cons work now. Even though Nintendo is, surprisingly actually responded and said like, no, this is not accurate. No, it's pretty fucking accurate. This is Switch 2.
They have to, because like accessory makers like Genki,
they have to
have a demo unit of it. They have to, because they have to have something ready to make specs and all that stuff off of it. We've talked about it before and probably multiple times, but when I was in that PDP room when they leaked the Wii U date, well, damn, dude, they sure had a lot of information about how the Wii U and accessories and stuff were going to work because they have a dev kit.
Oh, for sure.
But for Nintendo to come out and be like, well, no, that's not it. It's
un-Nintendo like, because usually they would just not say anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And be like, whatever, pretend it didn't happen. And then here's our announcement. I will say I do like for what we've seen of it from this thing. I like how the Joy-Cons work now. I don't know if you've watched any of the footage, but so instead of having a rail system, they just magnetize on.
Yeah, I like that.
So they just kind of, but they still make the click.
Which thank God, because I've since learned.
I broke the rail system.
And I don't take them out very often anyway, because that's just not how I like to play. But man, the fact that I could put them in backwards, or like before, like it just fit through there, but then got stuck and didn't work.
Yeah.
And then I panicked.
You could put the wrist straps on backwards incredibly easily, and we would have people come into the store all the time, and be like, "This is stuck," and then you look at it, and you go, "Oh shit, it's probably broken." You can try to get it off, but you put it on upside down. But it was like Nintendo. That's some kind of massive oversight on their part. Well, people are smart enough; they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and here's the thing: I'm a pretty savvy gamer. I'm a collector. I've been doing this forever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was fucking it up like every time for a while, and then panicking. I was like, "Oh no, this doesn't work!"
And like pushing that little button on the back. That button's so tight.
It is.
And you have to put it all the way in for it to come off.
I've had the one Switch. I've had my launch Switch. I never bought an OLED. I never bought a different system. I've had the same one.
Coward.
I dropped it one time, and it broke one of the rails.
Yeah.
So that it just doesn't click in all the way anymore. So one time, and it wasn't even that far of a drive. And I don't throw or bang my shit around very often, but like it was a very small distance one time. So I can imagine how bad that has been just over a generation, but just to see that was enough for me to be like, all right, that seems like a really smart decision here going forward. Yeah, does it mean that the old Joy-Cons aren't going to be compatible on this? But I kind of figured that.
From that standpoint, doesn't that make you kind of like think that the Switch 2 is it's more just like a quality of life improvement system over a current model? So like, is it really new system? Like, it doesn't.
That gets into my fear, and my fear is we get to the announcement of this thing, and it's not really necessarily a next generation leap for Nintendo. It is here's the new Nintendo 3DS situation.
Yeah, it's a 3DS XL and the new 3DS XL. And God help it if they call this fucking thing the new Switch. I'm gonna lose it.
It really seems like it's called Switch 2 from everything we've seen.
I don't think they don't like putting the
name. You don't think they're going to name it?
I would have to say if it ends up being just a new 3DS, I don't see the point in buying it because you already have so many different versions of the Switch right now. It's like, and I get why they would do it, but also it's like, why? Like, why would you pull the trigger like something that Sony's doing?
It has to be significantly upgraded in the hardware, which it seems like it is.
Well, it sounds like it's finally going to play PS4 games. So
I think they said the power is up to PS4 Pro. Was the comparison?
I mean, which for Nintendo, that's a big jump.
I mean, considering we're still getting PS4 Pro games in 2025.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty powerful for a handheld system in comparison to what would we argue the Switch 1 would be like the equivalent of what, a 360, maybe a little bit more powerful than that.
Yeah, late era 360.
So
but,
like a 540.
I'm in the other boat where it's like I never upgraded. If I had done something like got the OLED and then they announced this thing and hey, it's really just a new Nintendo 3DS XL, I would be more bummed about it. Because I've never done any upgrade. I'm all for it.
And I think
we need it.
I never upgraded either. And I think the other part of it that is like, are we going to do this thing out of the gate where some of them are dockable and some of them aren't? And I don't know, because that became a big version of Switch like halfway through the thing where it's like, well, it's just a handheld, not a console.
My other concern, concern one is obviously it's just a new 3DS XL, but my other concern is we get into the category of, okay, it is a next generation system, but while games are backwards compatible, hey, do you really want to play Tears of the Kingdom better? Here's the Switch 2 version. $70.
Oh yeah,
and we start double dipping releases.
Don't fucking put it past them to do it.
They'll
do it
instead of offering to have some sort of improvement for backwards compatible games.
They did it with GameCube and Wii. They did it with Wii and Wii U. Like they don't put it past them. Like you're gonna get the Switch 2 version of Mario Kart.
I mean, we all know there's no way that the system is not backwards compatible. I think it's pretty much been confirmed now.
At this point,
we'll play your Switch game.
Considering the form factor of it, that would be fucking insane.
A shot in the foot.
Play Switch games.
So, and while we've seen the other companies do that, we should shoot themselves in the foot. I don't think Nintendo would in this case.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not when they have this going for them.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I feel like it's weird because I feel like by the next time we record, we might just be talking about it. So
yeah, well,
I feel like we're just in that any day now, and that's exactly what's going to happen because it's a Nintendo thing. You're going to wake up one day and they're going to be like, "Hey, here it is."
You know how they work.
Here's a 30-minute video with a couple games.
We're going to have a direct in 2 days. That's what it's going to be.
Oh yeah, they do that for a lot of their directs. Yeah. It'll be like, join us tomorrow at noon for whatever.
They want to make an event out of it, and they want to make it like a special thing.
I mentioned earlier before we were recording, but like one of the biggest rumored games is Mario Kart 9, which I have a hard time getting behind it.
I need Mario RPG too,
because, man. Yeah, well,
I could see 9 as an announced title, like we're working on it title. But
not a launch
game.
But it's going to have something because like we've already pretty much determined that like Metroid Prime 4 will probably be one of the big launch titles for this game, for this system.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would assume, or in the launch window, right?
There's always
it's going to have something more than just
There's always a banger, a first party game that's not important, and then a whole bunch of crap. So
yeah.
My guess is 1-2 Switch.
1-2-3 Switch.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, they're due a 3D Mario.
Yeah. The other rumor I heard is that you'll see whatever
Odyssey
this event is, you'll see an Odyssey 2 trailer or whatever the next.
And they could go back to the land world like subgenre of 3D Mario games.
Yeah, that'd be cool
because they just had Wonder. So your theory would be, it would be a 3D game next. Is it Odyssey 2? It should be, but it could just be Land Super Mario.
It's
3D Land Switch.
It's crazy to me how successful Odyssey was that they did not put out a sequel for that in this whole entire time.
Especially after they proved that it works with Galaxy. They did it.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then, the Wii U kind of it shit the bed in a lot of ways. You never really got the killer Mario game for that system.
The step that I feel like
Mario Maker, I guess,
to get
was
to
the
a
killer.
Switch, though.
Mario Maker was the killer one.
Yeah. That was the killer app.
Mario Maker. Now, see, like Mario Maker 3 would be a huge launch title. Because
what more do you think they could add to a Mario Maker at this point?
More powerful system means your levels could be a hell of a lot bigger. Like they
get more wacky, like Wonder.
4 times the size. They could have exactly Wonder elements. They could finally put in like the Mario like 2 stuff, Mario 64, where you're just like the thing is about like a Mario 64 maker. It wouldn't be like, oh, you can make this giant fuck. No, it would be like a test kind of a thing where it contain little. Here's an area and you can like place objects and stuff. But if the thing that was holding Mario Maker 2 back towards the end of it was just the system power and like the sprites and how many things could be on screen. If this is truly that much better, Mario Maker 3, I think would be a huge launch because that game has an incredible like Twitch, YouTube following still.
It does.
And that game doesn't have support anymore.
Do you think it's possible they could make a Mario Maker 3D?
Well, maybe that's what you call it. And then that's got a 64 map editor in it or like a Mario Land editor in it.
Okay.
That'd be incredibly cool. I think that's probably the coolest Mario game they could release.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's the perfect title, Super Mario 3D Maker 3D.
I mean, we're at that point where like that's if we were gonna do it, that's what I would call it.
I can already picture the trailer in my head. It's like they're making a level and then they go to the thing and change it and it changes to 3D and then like it blows it out and it makes like a thing.
By the way,
God shit.
Or do you think they ever? The other thing I was gonna say is, do you think they ever go the opposite route? Rather than do another Mario Maker, hey, here's Zelda Maker.
Nah, because they tried that shit in the Link's Awakening game and it was lame.
Okay.
They did where like you could earn the tiles and you can make the dungeon and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a lame part of the game. If they could make that a real thing,
part of my massive backlog of Switch games to play.
But if they could make it, because if you're doing a Zelda Maker, you'd want it in like Link to the Past style. I think is what you would want. And I don't know because you couldn't make it in Breath of the Wild or Tears or any of that other kind of stuff. You couldn't do that. But is there enough of a market for a Link to the Past Zelda Maker? I don't know. Whereas Mario Maker 3 is guaranteed to be millions upon millions.
Especially if they go the 3D route as well and add those elements. I think that would be huge. I don't know if something like that would be ready for a launch, though. I think that'd be a launch.
Could be. They stopped Mario Maker 2 support a long time ago.
True. I just think there has to be something big, like Zelda big. Zelda, I think, is on ice for a while.
Yeah. Till they figure out where to go next.
But again, like I said, like Metroid's not enough to bring. I mean, yes, Nintendo fans will buy it, but I don't think it's big enough. There has to be one other thing.
As much as I kind of love the Metroid games, people just need to like just give it a. It's not the system. It just isn't. For me, it's the equivalent of Firefly. People who love Firefly love it, but like the movie was a mistake because no one cared. Like, the people who care, and no one else ever will. You just have to like accept that and enjoy your thing.
So, but yeah, I think I really feel like the next time we record, we're just going to be talking about Switch.
Yeah, could we think about Zelda Mario crossover game?
They've never done it. That's the thing. Other than
that game is called Smash Brothers.
Yeah, they've done that. Other than Smash Brothers.
I mean, I'm thinking
or
like an
Mario
Kart
one. Or tennis or one of those. So I don't. Is there a sport
Zelda
left that they haven't exploited?
That they haven't exploited? Pickleball. Mario Pickleball, dude.
There you go.
Jump on.
There's never been an actual Mario bowling game, has there?
I don't think so. They haven't done a football game.
Is that in Sports Mix?
That's true.
What's in Sports Mix?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I never played Sports Mix.
Tell me the sports in Sports Mix.
I've never played Sports Mix.
I think dodgeball.
I know basketball is in there for sure.
I would play a Mario dodgeball game if they made that.
I think that's in Sports Mix. Volleyball.
You know, the Switch like Wii U sports game or whatever they came out wasn't bad. And I only played it like 2 times.
Let's see. It features volleyball, ice hockey, dodgeball, and basketball.
Man.
I want give me a Mario football.
An American
That'd
football,
be cool too. I'm surprised that they haven't done that.
Yeah, or did they do new Sluggers for Switch? I can't remember.
No,
I don't think so.
They need to redo Sluggers. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
I could see something like that being pretty early in the because they usually do like a big Mario and then like here's tennis, here's just one.
Yeah.
I can see
Sluggers being the next like Mario sports game to be redone.
I can see that too,
and then it being underwhelming because they do just enough to release a game.
We're gonna have to hope that they keep the cases the same size but change the coloring, right? Like,
there you go.
Right, they have to. If they make,
I feel like they will.
Red again,
I don't think that.
I'll lose my mind.
Yeah, the red's obnoxious. I don't love it.
It's too red. I would like it to just be like white with black lettering.
I think white would be cool.
Same size case.
I don't think you can do purple.
Can't do blue or green. Take back white. No, take back. It's got to be different than red.
I want it to be loud orange too, like just
neon green.
There you go.
I support that.
To look at.
Yeah, a nice yellow.
Yeah,
a nice
hot pink,
subtle yellow.
Hot pink. There
yeah,
the
Barbie edition.
Yeah, but then every game in the set is hot pink except the Barbie game. It's a different color with a different font.
It's white instead. Yeah,
it's the Binding of Isaac of Switch games.
There you go.
Ryan knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
I'm fucking fine in that game.
Assassin's Creed Shadows cannot catch a break. Has been delayed again.
I disagree that this game shouldn't be put out.
25. I agree.
They claim,
I think they should.
My favorite part is they claim that it's because of fan feedback.
I don't think that's. I think it's.
So.
They looked at every fucking game is coming out around the time of this release that they had picked. Because what was it like?
It's like
the 21st of February
Day,
or something.
Basically.
Yeah. And it's like, now you have Kingdom Come Deliverance, you have that Yakuza game, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter is a big one.
There's probably one other big game in there that I'm missing, but like to put this out in the middle of all those is foolish. So,
did you see Domino's Pizza trolled them on Facebook?
Yeah, no, that's good though.
Yeah.
What did they say? Like if you need help delivering things on time, let us know.
Well, then Assassin's Creed decided to lean into it. Or like, oh, maybe we could do like a collab. Yeah, because they had Domino's Pizza in the Japanese era time that you're advertising.
I don't know. The Ninja Turtles went back and made some Pizza Hut pizzas.
Shit. So. Now that's a crossover.
I mean, it's doable.
They could have that guy slicing with his ninja sword. Slices pizza. God. There you go.
What I'm not going to claim this was my original thought because I did hear this on another podcast, but like,
sure.
It was the besties just for reference. Talking about like Assassin's Creed Shadows, like also seems to be like Ubisoft's putting a lot of stock in that game doing well to kind of right the ship, and this is not looking like a very righted ship.
I didn't put it in here, but their most recent earnings call, they very clearly are preparing to possibly be sold to Tencent, but they don't want to like actually say those words out loud. So a lot of the call from what I was reading was people directly asking, are you preparing to sell to Tencent? And they would just skirt around it. Like, we're preparing multiple options, but are you doing this one?
Yeah.
We're preparing multiple options.
I just
seems like that's what's going to happen.
Shadows.
This game's not going to save it.
Well, and the worst part is like at this point, it's been so long. It's been so much bullshit. It's been delayed.
Bones take that.
However good it is, it's not going to be enough. Especially after Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones
nuked that company.
Tanked that company.
Well,
God, too many.
The world wasn't ready for a quadruple A game. They just weren't.
We said no quadruple.
We played it and couldn't handle the beauty of incredibly boring shit-based combat.
Of that extra A.
Yes.
Did you see the level of detail they've put into this Yakuza pirate game in terms of like customization and what you could do? Like it runs circles around.
It's a better game than Skull and Bones is,
and it's a goofy ass,
and it's a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love it.
I know,
amazing. Death Stranding 2 is probably not coming out this year.
Wow!
They have. Part of it is because they revealed they were hit when they were having all of the strikes with the voice actors, so that's delayed a lot of the voice acting in that game. And he's still working on it.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And still writing the story.
Don't shock me.
Yeah.
Remember, the one thing I think I read about that early on was like when he originally wrote the story for Death Stranding 2. It was written right before the pandemic, and parts of it were getting too similar to what happened in the pandemic. He had to go back and change stuff. So, but that's fine. My mantra in that game is like, take whatever time you need. Like, I'll play it when it's ready.
Imagine thinking Kojima's nightmare mind was too close to reality.
A little too close to reality.
That's scary.
That's scary.
Yeah. That's a game you can definitely delay. I think Kojima's one of those guys who just has enough street cred where people are just going to be like, yeah, whenever it's out, we'll play. You're fine.
Yeah.
Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Nobody cares about. Nobody judges delays from him. They're not like breaking down why. It's a complete opposite of Assassin's Creed, where it's
exactly. For them, they're like, oh, the company's getting sold. Kojima's like, oh, he's a genius who's adding more. Yeah. We're gonna let him do it.
He's got to get more Jeff Keighley mocap into the game. So there you
go. Much like Ubisoft, Rocksteady was hit with another round of massive layoffs as we near the 1-year anniversary of Suicide Squad, which was $3 for the longest time and is now currently the PlayStation Plus major free game of the month.
I cannot believe it's technically been less than a year that game has been
February 4th will be the 1-year anniversary.
That's so weird.
So you should be playing this game, close. Dan. You could help these layoffs, man.
It feels like it just came and went. I helped the layoffs. I paid $15 for the $100 digital deluxe. I did my part.
You gave them what? You gave them a lot more.
I gave them $15.
How is it still 70 on Steam? I just looked it up.
It goes up and down
because
like
the winter sale just ended. So they literally just ended like 2 days ago. But
still, the fact that the default price is
it was $2.99 on Steam during the winter sale. It was $2.99 in the Xbox store. It was $2.99. There's a bunch of people I'm sure that did buy it on PlayStation last month.
That's wild.
To come out.
Had I been paying attention, I might have jumped for $3.
Right, like $3 just to see. Like let's see what this train wreck is. And then finally, the last news article I put in here, we've talked about it to death, but once again, it's the start of 2025. We're driving up the rumor bin. We're talking about more games coming over from Xbox to other platforms. Once again, Halo Master Chief Collection has been mentioned, but this time it is important to note also a port to Switch 2.
I think that maybe that's a big reason about why this stuff is finally going to get moved over. Because I was reading something that said like Nintendo is going to be all in on Switch 2, or Microsoft is going to be all in on Switch 2, support it out of the gate. Because I mean, if you're putting stuff like Halo and Gears Ultimate and Flight Simulator and stuff, that's going to sell like crazy on Switch.
Oh yeah,
what's crazier, a PlayStation box for Halo Master Chief Collection or a Nintendo box?
The PlayStation box.
Right, PlayStation.
Microsoft always has been like, we're friends with Nintendo. We don't really care.
True.
There was a time. This is like old DS lore, which may or may not be true at this point, but I think there's enough stuff that came out to support it. But so there's a GoldenEye game for the DS, and it's basically like a first-person shooter. It's pretty shitty. Rumor is it's at one point that was actually kind of like a demo for Halo on the DS, and there was actually like I want to say a build of something came out at one point where it's like they were on the beach and there was like warthogs and stuff. So I think there were talks as far as like the original DS ago about Microsoft and Nintendo doing stuff together, because rightfully so, I don't think Microsoft and Nintendo have ever looked at each other as like competitors.
Yeah. They
just looked at each other as we kind of occupy different spaces and we could work together, as opposed to Microsoft and Sony, and even Sony and Nintendo, where Sony just kind of tells everybody to fuck off as much as they can and finally concedes when the customer base finally says like you have to concede on stuff like crossplay and stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed there. I mean, you and I both said it. We're in day one if they ever put it on PS5. Halo Master Chief Collection. They've also mentioned Microsoft Flight Simulator, which that makes a lot of sense, and Gears of War.
And Age of
has been mentioned.
Age of Mythology.
I think it's Age of Empires 2.
One of them, but
yeah.
And at this point, why not?
Fine.
Just make the money. They need to make
I'm honestly surprised we got through the Game Awards and there wasn't one thing announced like Forza or something.
Right.
I really thought we would have gotten something announced.
Forza on a Switch 2 would be huge.
That would be huge, yeah. But even if it was just the most recent one.
But Forza Horizon 5 on there?
Yeah, God,
it would be
that
big.
Would sell like crazy.
That would be good. So, I thought we could kick over and do movies really quick, because then we can do our I put the GameStop emails at the top. So
sure. Okay.
We have a big GameStop dumbass move of the week, but it's a company move, so we'll talk about that. But we can kick over because we got a list of movies. Matt's list is like a mile long, but
my apologies, guys.
You got to cut that. You got 2 minutes. Go.
I'm just going to give you ratings on the bad ones, and then we'll just go. I'll talk about the good ones.
Rating, move on. Got it.
I like it because it's like I got a couple. Dan's got 1, and then Matt 35. Like I've been busy.
I watched the entire Criterion collection on break.
There you go.
There you go.
Someone had to do it. It was me.
I pushed through, guys. I pushed through.
So yeah, for me, I got a couple here. That shitty looking werewolves movie that came out at the beginning of December hit demand. Gosh, I watched it Christmas Eve. It surprisingly, I enjoyed it. It's a movie that knows exactly what it is. It has a ridiculous plot with a very, very stupid ending. Worthy of what that movie is. It's Frank Grillo.
Yeah,
he's very good in it. It's very campy. Yeah, it's very campy, very stupid. The way I would describe it is think The Purge, except everybody turns into werewolves unless they are inside and out of the view of the supermoon. So like people are protecting their houses and stuff so they're not in the moonlight. If they get in the moonlight, they turn into a werewolf. So it's very stupid. It's very silly. I enjoyed my time with it. It was something that I had fun watching while I wrapped Christmas gifts. So I think I was very generous and gave it a 7 out of 10. So very generous. It's very, very silly, very stupid. Not even the gore. It's not really like super gory. It's just kind of comical. Everybody for whatever 1 week was talking about this fucking Nora movie. And so I decided to jump in on that. That hit digital. I don't think you've even heard of it, Dan.
Doesn't sound cool.
It is a really bizarre fucking movie. The best way I can describe it's a movie where it's a little too long. And after the 40-minute mark, it turns into a completely different movie. So it begins as you are following it's a woman who's a stripper / sex worker who gets involved with this. I forget what country he's from, but he's very prominent in the country that he's from. Like he's a prince or something. And basically they hook up and after like, I don't know, a couple weeks of them quote unquote dating him. I use the term dating loosely because money is exchanged. He finally decides that he wants to marry her and they get married. And that's where this whole movie just goes off the rails, because what happens is his parents back over in whatever country they're from find out that he's basically married a prostitute and they lose their fucking minds. And they send over what I would describe as like probably mafia, like Russian mafia type people to get this kid to divorce her. So the entire movie then becomes a chase movie because they are chasing him, because what happens is they show up, he runs out on her and they basically kidnap her. And the whole movie is them trying to find this boy so that they can get them to be divorced because the parents don't agree with the marriage. It's really weird. It's enjoyable. I think the girl in it does a really good job. I've never seen her in anything else. It's odd. So, and the end of it's, I don't know. It's a kind of a got a whatever ending movie, but I enjoyed it. It's still a little too long. I think I also gave that a 7 out of 10. We can talk about a movie that will be in my top 5 when we get to top 5s here, but I watched The Substance. I think I told you to watch it too, Matt.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I loved The Substance. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. It gets nasty. So I will say towards the end, it gets very nasty. It is Demi Moore. I think Demi Moore is 63 in real life, but she plays a 50-year-old here.
Goodness
she's
gracious.
Kind of like at the
unrealistic.
Yeah. She's in Hollywood terms, she's at the end of her career.
So she's 35 in Hollywood?
She's 35 in Hollywood. Dennis Quaid is in the movie. I think it's like her aging. He plays a real nasty character. She's at the end of her career. She's getting ready. Her current thing is she is the star of this like workout show. She basically gets canned from it. She's down on her luck. She gets this like mysterious invitation to try this drug called The Substance, which what it does is it creates a copy of her as a younger self that then can go and like live that life and make the money and stuff, and then she can live her life or whatever. kind of live vicariously through that, but there are rules to it. So the birthing of the copy is pretty grotesque. So that part of it, like it definitely gets into a body horror territory, and it's not shy to, and that's the part of it that's like the biggest part of this movie I would say that is crazy is that this is a movie that someone like Demi Moore agreed to be in, which I think kind of tells you the state of Hollywood right now.
There's like a good chunk of like 10 minutes where there's like a bunch of nudity between her and Margaret
There's
Qualley.
a lot of nudity, between her.
I was not expecting it when I watched it.
And
hey,
what's the other girl's
shut
name?
Up? The substance is starting.
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah,
that's her
Margaret
name.
Qualley.
Yeah, okay. Plays like the younger version of her. But then what happens is like there's rules. They have to switch places after 7 days. If they go over that time frame in any way, shape, or form, bad shit's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, you can tell what ends up happening is the clone of her, the copy of her, wants to take over. So she starts spending more and more time outside of the 7 days, and it starts making Demi Moore's character physically deformed. So she gets more and more grotesquely deformed until it gets real nuts.
Yeah, it's wild.
And that end of that turns into this just fucking crazy, man. I won't spoil the end of that movie, but it gets bloody.
It's weird.
It gets weird. But this thing, like, you and I disagreed on that because you have a perfect point where you think it should have ended. And I have a point where, like, no, I needed it to go farther because I needed to see that bloody fucking mess at the end of that movie because it is just so, for a mainstream Hollywood movie, it's so over the top. I loved it. I was a 9 out of 10 on it. I loved it. And then the last movie that I watched over our holiday break is the most recent Kevin Smith movie, the 4:30 movie, which is the one that he made in the movie theater that he bought. It's fine. It's enjoyable. It's a rom-com. He has the 4 young actors that are in it, I think, are new actors that he picked because I've never seen them in anything else. You can tell they're not maybe the most experienced actors. But it's an enjoyable enough story. You can totally tell that most of it is written from, Kevin Smith's personal experiences at that age. It's set in the 80s. And like I said, it's all set in his childhood theater, which he owns now. So had to have been pretty easy pitch to make that movie. But I enjoyed that movie as well. That one I think I was like 8 out of 10 on that. It was a decent, surprising, like it's not it does not go the typical like crazy dirty comedy route that a Kevin Smith movie normally goes, but it's also not like a PG rated movie either. So, but it is a little cleaner than like Clerks, for example. So, but I enjoyed it. It is a solid movie. The best parts of that movie are because it's set in a movie theater. They go to see movies, obviously during it. There are a couple fake trailers that are very well done in that movie, that are very funny. And there are a lot of good cameos. Justin Long has a good cameo. The guy that played the guy that plays Dante in Clerks, he has a good cameo. I always forget that, the Asian comedian from The Hangover. I always forget that guy's name.
Oh, Dr. Ken Jeong.
Yeah. He has a major role in the movie. He's very funny. He is the manager of the theater. The whole entire movie, he keeps talking about how he's a big shot in Hollywood because he runs this movie theater. It's pretty funny. So I enjoyed it. It's a good movie, but that covers the movies I watched. I will say briefly, personal events went on during the holidays, so I did not get a chance to see Nosferatu.
Oh no.
I'm going to wait to see it on digital at this point. I also read that guy's going to put out an extended cut. So I will review it, but it is absent from what I saw. And unfortunately, I feel like that movie probably would be in my top 5, but I did not see it. So I'll kick to you, Dan, to talk about your one.
Well, I realized I watched the second one yesterday, but they're both older action movies. I told you before, I'm like, a friend of ours is going through a really hard Jackie Chan phase right now. Yes. So it's kind of prompt, but I've been
you wanted I thought you were going to say divorce.
No,
so it's like I wanted to watch all these comfort movies,
Jackie Chan phase.
No, that's even worse.
Yeah. So and I had started watching a couple of them last year, so I just randomly picked another one and started watching Armor of God, which if you're the English version of that it's called Operation Condor 2.
Fantastic.
Because they kind of link it together to a different one. It's an older one. It's, it's before he got really popular here, but it is one of his like better older ones. He's like a mercenary guy, and like it has a lot of good fight scenes and all this stuff in it. That movie of his is most notable for he sings the theme song in it at the end.
It's crazy.
It's pretty good.
Okay. He's actually not that bad. His stuff is on Spotify.
I've heard him sing before. He's
huge over there, obviously. But
yeah.
That was really the first time I want to say I ever heard him sing. But yeah, he sings in that one. He sings the theme song.
Okay.
And then just because our friend has been watching a lot of fucking movies lately, I watched Equalizer 1 last night just for fun.
Have you not seen it?
A long time ago. Back when it first came out. But God, that movie's so good. so good. God, he is.
All of them are good.
It's crazy.
But they're all different.
Oh yeah. It's weird, but I just love this movie where it's like they don't even really bother to explain who he is at all. He just he works in a Home Depot kind of thing, and then he kills a shitload of people. And you're
he's
like,
one of the pips, man.
Yeah, and they just kind of like pepper in a little bit of things, and he goes to visit like his old handler and stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
I think we talked about it at the beginning of the year because that's when it came out, but I will bring it up briefly is that they that trailer drop for that new Statham movie.
Yeah.
A Working Man, which looks awesome.
Looks great.
Which got us talking about The Beekeeper again.
Yeah.
So
solid one.
But yeah, I mean, I've just been watching old action movies and stuff, and
there you go.
That's it for me. I have nothing else to watch.
All right, Matt.
I watched The Whale, so it was on Netflix. Really solid watch if you haven't seen it. I like the. It's a little emotional. The cast is really small. I think it's a total of 5 people in the cast, essentially. But I think they all play really well off of each other. Real quickly, synopsis: Brendan Fraser is like a morbidly obese man. Essentially finds out his heart is going out on him, so he's trying to like rekindle his relationship with his daughter, and he's trying to like wrong any rights that he can before he passes away. All in all, it's a really good watch. I'd probably say it's up there. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Honestly, it's a pretty good one. Watched Weekend in Taipei. I give that a 3 out of 10. I was so disappointed, man. I should have known it was not going to be what I thought it was going to be when I saw who was going to be in it, and I don't remember the main character's name, but it was not good. Saw Smile 2.
Okay.
I'd give that a good 7. I really enjoyed it.
I loved Smile 2 as well.
The girl is it Naomi Watts?
Naomi Scott.
Scott, thank you. Naomi Scott. She's fantastic.
Yeah, Naomi Watts is very different.
I thought so too. I was like, I don't think it's
going
Watts,
a different route there.
Yeah, it was a good one. What did I say? 6 out of 10, something like that. 7 out of 10.
It was 7 out of 10.
It's solid. 7 out of 10 is what I would say. I saw Work It. It has Sabrina Carpenter. It's a Netflix movie about her learning how to dance. It's been coming across my TikTok feed, so I figured
the girl that sings Espresso, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It's a dance movie. It's not that great. It's like a 5. It's very
Does she do the Disney knees?
No, she doesn't do the Disney knees.
Wow.
I saw It's What's Inside. This was an interesting
Sounds familiar.
one. Yeah, very interesting. So the cast is all like old high school friends. They haven't seen each other in a while. Okay. And one of them is getting married, so they decide to like get together and hang out at like his childhood home or something. And he ends up inviting somebody that they haven't seen since like graduation night, because that guy got like expelled from school and like booted out.
Okay.
And come to find out, this guy made a game, and the game is where you can put these electrodes on your like temples, and you can essentially switch places with the other people that have electrodes.
I think I've heard of this.
Really crazy concept.
Okay.
What ends up happening is they end up so the game is essentially you switch bodies and you have to figure out who's in whose body. So like you're just trying to play. It's like a real life Guess Who is essentially what you're doing. Yeah. In one of the rounds, 2 of the people end up dying. So they lose two bodies and two minds. So and they're trying to figure out how they can essentially they're trying to get back into proper bodies so that they can figure everything out. It's a really solid watch. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's actually
what is that on?
I think it's Netflix if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So if you have Netflix, go give it a shot.
Okay.
I thought it turned out to be something I was not expecting, and the ending kind of just did a whole chaotic bundle. It's fantastic though. I will say it was a good movie. All right. I saw Wrath of Man with Jason Statham because I saw a clip of it. Never watched it.
I've seen that one. That one's good too.
That's a good one.
Wild, man. That was a pretty solid one too.
Okay.
Not what I was expecting, but a very good one. I saw The Front Room with Brandon.
Yeah, that looked interesting when it came out earlier this year, and then everybody told me it was bad.
It was not what I was expecting. I can tell you that. I thought it was going to be like a supernatural type of movie.
That's what it made it look like in the trailers, but I heard it was more of like maybe a parody of that kind of stuff, or
it wasn't a
satire of that kind of stuff.
Maybe so. Maybe it was. I didn't even really feel like it was a parody or a satire. I really felt like it was garbage, and I was kind of disappointed in myself in watching it.
Most people tell me it was like it's bad.
I mean, the main reason I saw it was because Brandy was in it, and she looks fucking fantastic. But not a good movie. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time on it. Saw Home Team, Kevin James. It's on Netflix. It's about a football team. It's like any Happy Madison production movie. It's all right. It gets like a 4 out of 10. I saw another movie called It's a Wonderful Knife. Essentially, it's a serial killer movie. Take the concept of It's a Wonderful Life, but replace them with a serial killer who's trying to chase them down. Only reason I watched it was Justin Long was in it.
Okay.
His character he plays, fantastic. The movie itself, complete trash.
Man, I haven't heard of Justin Long in ages, and then two
pops
different
up in
Justin
weird
Long
shit.
Yeah.
You haven't watched that Goosebumps TV show on Hulu, dude?
Yeah, I have. Come on.
With David Schwimmer?
No,
that's the new season that just dropped.
Okay. I was gonna say I like Justin Long. He's just one of those dudes that I would have thought before 5 minutes ago that I would die having never heard his name again, and then twice.
Dude, it's such a... So again, that's the only reason I watched it, was because he is one of my favorite actors, and his character is fantastic. The whole movie is just garbage. So if you like Justin Long, watch it. If you can tolerate the rest of the movie.
The rest of it.
I watched My Spy, The Eternal City, that has Batista in it from the original or from the first My Spy movie, him and the girl. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It has that one dude in it, the dude from The Hangover, the Asian man.
Yeah, we just talked about Dr. Ken.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it has him in it.
We're bad on that for some reason.
Yeah.
Two Justin Long references and two forgetting who Dr. Ken is.
That's me. It's not bad. It's a pretty solid Prime watch. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. It was enjoyable. I got through the entire first season of Peacemaker, which I hadn't started until like yesterday, and I just blazed through it. I enjoyed it, man. I didn't know it was a sequel to the Suicide Squad. I thought it was a prequel to Suicide Squad.
Like a little bit, I think, from my understanding. I never watched it. I need to.
It's a sequel.
It definitely takes place after that movie's over.
I really thought it was a prequel until the very opening scene where he was in the hospital laid up with a neck bandage, and I was like, wait, that dude survived? I was like, okay, all right, cool. Let's see where this goes.
The show's fantastic.
It really is good, and I loved the last scene with them coming out of the barn. Fantastic. And then I watched this movie called Stop Motion on Hulu. It's not that...
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier.
Not that great. It's a 3 out of 10. Don't watch it. And then that's it. That's all I'm done. So.
Wow.
You're welcome.
That's it. That's
it. You're welcome.
I think we did. I should ask. I don't know if you did, Ryan, but the rest of us, I think we did all watch the very first Netflix Raw.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I actually re-upped my Netflix for it. It was just one of those things that,
I mean,
and like whatever. My wife and I are just trying to be a little bit more intentional with like, we're not watching anything on Netflix right now. We can cancel Netflix for a while. That was the only reason. And then now there's something on there I want to watch. I got it back again. The kind of quick, my quick review of it. I liked the wrestling. I thought the matches felt well built up and very important. Everything else was like, it was such a weird, and I hope it was just because it was the first one and they were trying to make it this big celebrity thing, but the pacing sucked.
Slow.
It was just really slow show. And when the wrestling happened, I was like, none of the matches are, if you want to say 5-star match of the year or whatever cliche thing.
No, but they were good matches.
They were really good, and they had story behind them, and they meant something, and it was important. But like, man, everything else was just like,
it was just, it just felt like a long pay-per-view with not as much content. Like it was oddly paced, and the returns and stuff weren't good. I would say
it was the normal shit.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get Taker, and whatever. Taker's fine, and Hogan getting booed was very enjoyable.
Fantastic.
Which debunks anything, because like so many people want to be like, oh, you're just booing him because he's Republican. Nah, Taker's Republican, and no one booed him. They're booing him because he's racist. Those are different things.
It was a beer commercial. Like it was.
And it didn't make sense. You're not known for tag teams, you stupid old motherfucker.
Right.
Nobody thinks of you in that context. You didn't tag team with Andre the Giant in any meaningful way. Get out of here, racist.
It was just kind of a weird thing, and I feel like you felt like there was going to be maybe one extra special thing, and it just never came.
And I think the whole thing behind that, though, was just for them to kind of build it up like this really important event type thing. And I think that's why they were highlighting so many people that were in the audiences and trying to bring back like Hogan and Taker.
It still seemed goofy.
Still seemed goofy to show people.
There's Cody Rhodes. Yeah, he works here. Like,
hey, wow, Bianca Belair's here. She works here. Like all of these wrestlers are
the Raw tag team champions were at Raw.
LA Knight is here.
But I think they also, I think in the way they were doing it also to try and like get people who haven't seen many of those people, because you got to remember a lot of those people don't watch.
I'm not saying I don't understand why it happened. It just was out of place. If you had literally watched last week's Raw before it and then you watch this, it's like this is just a really weird episode of Raw.
Yeah.
And then I mean, because like next week is going to be, I think for people who follow this show, next week will be kind of we'll see what this actually is,
right?
Because they got the women's IC title finals. They're gonna have Penta's debut.
I can't wait.
There's
gonna
be some cool stuff that's going on there.
I'm going for Dakota Kai.
Yeah, me too.
That's my girl.
But yeah, no, I guess my most impressive thing was that the stream did not break, because I thought for sure after that fight.
As much as I love WWE, they were not going to be getting Tyson Paul numbers.
True.
Like there wasn't as much strain that was going to be happening on there.
not at that level.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about, and I haven't followed this part that closely, is like I don't want to have to start torrenting stuff again. Like if they get rid of like the Peacock content, like is all that moving over to Netflix, all the legacy stuff?
No, so it's only just Raw stuff from what I know. So like Raw going forward.
In other countries, they have access to all that other stuff.
Okay, I was going to say, because I think the Peacock deal in the States is still up at the end of this year.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And like if they don't move everything over, it's like I don't want to have to fucking buy a hard drive and torrent this shit and do all that again. Like, damn it, I will, but I don't want to.
But I don't know. I was in the same boat too, where like we didn't have Netflix for a long time, just simply because we weren't using it. And then there's been a slew of a couple things that I've been interested in. But then one of the reasons to keep it this time was like, okay, this Raw thing's happening finally.
Yeah, and then if Raw starts to suck, whatever. Like whatever. It's useful for me. I'm my buddy bought me a ticket to the Royal Rumble, which I was not going to go to.
Ooh.
Just for financial reasons. I wanted to go, but he texted me and our other buddy in the morning where the tickets were going to go up. He's like, so you guys in? And like, I have a time zone difference, so I didn't see. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I want to, but I think like all the tickets are just too pricey, and like I'm just checking stuff. And he was like, well, get a flight because I bought you a ticket, fucker. And I was like, well, all right, I guess I'm going. It's back in Indy, so that'll be nice I'll get to see family, and I booked the show in Fort Wayne cool around this year. Yeah, I mean, getting to see Cena, like
the Cena thing's gonna be cool.
It's one of I've never been the biggest Cena fan. Like historically, but like it's a pretty cool thing. You know, I got to see Taker a couple times during his last few stuff. You know, it's one of those things that, like, if you're a wrestling fan, it'll be cool to be like, I was at one of the last major Cena things, even if you're not the biggest fan in the world of that guy. It's still cool.
For sure.
Agreed.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
All right, we can kick over to emails here, and that leads us into
also I watched the Santa Claus.
You watched the Santa Claus. Oh, there you go.
I actually never seen the movie. We watched it when we were trying to teach my son how to unwrap presents because he's a little too young to understand the full concept. He liked the Christmas tree and he liked the lights and all that. He didn't quite understand. We were trying to show him, like, no, you could rip this open, like it's a thing. And Santa Claus is in the background. It's it's one of those. It's a nostalgia movie. It's not fun if you have no attachment to it.
That's a lot. That is that way with a lot of those holiday movies, though.
Yeah, and that's not me. If you like that movie, you like that. I get it, because like there's a certain, because like I'm the same way with Elf. I didn't watch Elf when it first came out, and so when I watched it a couple years ago, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, and some people are just like, I will kill your family if that's not your favorite holiday movie. And it's like, man, enjoy. I'm not saying you can't like it, enjoy it. It just
get so much hate for that when I'm like, people are like, oh my god, Elf is like the most amazing. That's my wife. She's like, Elf is like my favoriteest holiday. And when we got together, I was like, it's all right, and she was like, how dare you? And I was like,
mistake. I know your wife. She's a scary woman.
She's terrifying.
That was a mistake.
We almost got a divorce because of that.
Yeah, understandably so.
I remember going to the theater and seeing it and thinking it was fine, but I'd never been like the biggest fan of Elf. Like, I don't think I've seen it in probably a decade. So
I really like
our Christmas movie.
There you go. We're all here.
We're all here. Our Christmas movie of choice in this house is Krampus, so we watched that.
Okay. Ours is Christmas Vacation. That's our
Christmas Vacation is a classic one for me. Growing up, it was always A Christmas Story, which I think is probably the most like default one for a lot of people. So
I mean, if you
had
recent
TBS, sequel,
you were going to watch it accidentally.
TBS, I did watch that sequel they put out like 2 or 3 years ago. It's okay, but I would not repeatedly watch it like the original.
Yeah. Didn't A Christmas Story run for like 24 Doesn't it do that?
That was the thing they did that a long time for every year. I don't know if they still do it, but for a long time, that was every year. It was TBS or TNT.
And one thing I will say has become a part of my my yearly watch that I really enjoyed is 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh yeah,
I need to watch it. I've never watched that.
Yeah,
I need
Neil
to.
Patrick Harris, and it's a Christmas story. It's kind of that ilk of story. It's him retelling the story of trying to get a Nintendo for Christmas.
Okay.
And if you're a gamer, it's like it's cute and it's fun and it's loyal enough that like you could tell people who wrote it at least have heard of what a Nintendo is. They didn't try to like
It's not like hey, they're really playing a Sega Genesis here, but
and it's heartfelt and touching in the right way. Like I would recommend that too as a Christmas movie if you haven't seen it.
Nice. Yeah, that's one that we should watch. Okay. So yeah, ever since we went and saw Krampus in the theater, that's been our like de facto, like, I don't know. We're horror fans in this house, so but yeah, we can kick over to emails here, which will bring us to the GameStop dumbass move of the week, but that is at a store level. A lot of closing stores, but there's a little more to it. I'll read the first email. We can get in there. We have 2 GameStop emails. Yeah. I'll read the first one, and then that will give us context we can talk about a little bit. Because this has been blowing up a little bit. So Chris from Redacted, hi 572 crew. I wanted to write in about the layoffs going on at GameStop. So I'm a manager among the many layoffs that are going on right now. I'm sure you guys have heard GameStop is closing quite a few stores, and sadly my store is one of them. I was given an option to either take severance or they would place me in a nearby store. I opted to stick with the company only because did come out. I worded it real because I did come out of the blue. It came out of the blue for me, so I wasn't ready to just be done. Well, they screwed myself and me, and I wasn't. They screwed me and many other managers over today. Out of nowhere today, I get an email saying that sadly they will no longer be able to place me in a different location, and I will not be offered another chance at severance pay. Now I'm just shit out of luck. Worst part is corporate had to know they were going to pull this move because there is no one I can speak to on it. My DM is useless. Going to call him and just trying to get anywhere, suddenly no one can return a call. It's all just complete shit. I've been with the company for almost 15 years, 6 of those as a store manager, and this is what I give for it. Even staying through COVID and the harder times, it just feels like being kicked in the fucking gut when you are already down. Any advice? I apologize for the long rambling. So to give context to it, there was a lot of this. I think the Reddit was blowing up with it too.
There's a lot of that. I found out.
You might have a little more.
Yeah, so I found out this was gonna happen a few weeks before it did because I have a way to find these things out still. And so basically, what happened is they did closings and they scheduled. There's 3 rounds of closing: the 4th, the 11th, or I think it's the 4th, the 11th, the 18th. And I think there might even be like one final one on like the 25th, where basically they knew all these stores were closing, didn't tell anybody because that's the MO. They don't tell you unless they have to the point where some stores found out they were closing because they got shipped store closing materials. That's how they found out.
Yeah, I read that.
The DM didn't tell them.
Jesus.
There was a conference call. There was a thing where like every manager had to work the 2nd and the 3rd because that's when they were going to have the calls to tell you like, hey, your store's closing. This is when it's closing. But yeah, the thing about this email that's the most telling, and I've read it from a bunch of things and I've heard it from a couple other places too, is they pulled the we'll place you at a different store severance and then yank that out because they had to have known they couldn't possibly place you at a different store because they're closing stores.
They're closing.
Where are they going to place you if they're closing other stores? But the trick is if they offer you a position to go someplace else that's reasonable and you don't take that, I think there's some kind of rules with like you can't get unemployment because you were technically were going to give you a reasonable distance job, which at GameStop is bullshit anyway. But that would count as you quitting, not you being fired. So that's why the smart move is to take your severance, which, I think it's a week of pay for every year up to 8, I want to say, is what it was.
Damn.
I got when my store closed, I was lucky enough my district manager told me a month ahead of time. And he actually did want to put me in a different place. He told me he'd fire somebody, but I was like, I'm out. I'm out, dude. I'll take the max severance. I'm going. Because he wanted me to drive to a store. It was like an hour 15 away. I was like, there's no I'm not
the hardest of passes
hours
on
to my commute every day. And at the time I had like a 2-year-old. No way. Like, fuck off.
In context, your commute was like under 5 minutes.
Yes, I lived across. I lived in the subdivision next to the store. It's like, you're out of your mind. And he was like, I didn't think so, but I was just throwing it out there in case you wanted to. So I got lucky that my district manager worked with us, but also ours wasn't part of a mass round of closings. Ours was for a different reason. This is again, everything that happens at GameStop now, and this has been clear for the past couple of years, has been to manipulate the stock price, to boost the profits for the people at the top and the shareholders, and to fuck everybody else over. They're closing tons of stores right before the Switch 2 comes out. So something that's destined to sell out, like they're going to sell every Switch 2 thing they have.
Oh, yeah.
In a couple months, but they just cut all of these people. If you had 2 stores, if you were an SL2 and you had 2 stores and one of them closed, now you're down to an SL1. Guess what that means? It means you lose your bonus from the other store. It means you lose the extra amount of pay you got because you ran a second store, which to be fair wasn't very much. In some cases, it's like $2 extra an hour to run two locations. Yeah. But now you have to do that. You have to do all the work of closing that store. Most of your employees are just gone because, again, there's nowhere for them to go. Like this whole thing is maybe not planned to the smallest detail because GameStop doesn't plan anything like that anymore. But it definitely came up as the year's rolling over. We're going to cut more stuff. What are we cutting? Boom, double stores. Like it is crazy Yeah. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's just like the amount. This is a lot of stores at once. And I got to say, I love the fact that people were finding out by getting shipped from store closing kits and posting on Reddit going, what are these? It's like, good news, you're fired. Like it's how GameStop works now.
Yeah.
But go ahead and read the next one too, because the next.
Yeah, let me read the other one. So the other one we got Grant from Redacted. Howdy 572 crew. Well, it happened. I'm sure you guys know by now that GameStop is on fire with layoffs and closures. I'm a manager of a store that's dodged quite a few bullets since the pandemic, but it's finally caught up to us, and our last day is going to be the 25th.
Yeah.
Honestly, for myself, I'm in relief. I took the severance package. I'm in a position between severance and savings that I can take a bit of time off to refocus and really search for something. So I have no need to rush into my next job. However, my ASL was going to transfer and just found out today after being told they would be transferring to a specific nearby location. That was no longer happening, and they are shit out of luck.
Goddamn.
I find it incredibly crummy. I'm not surprised. This company has been a complete shit for the last 15 plus years, which honestly is why I coasted as a store manager and never tried to go any higher. I think once you hit a manager position, you have the realization that unless you're willing to really pucker up to the higher ups and fuck over the people below you, then you won't be getting to that next level position. And I wasn't for that.
That's exactly what I did. Like, just to jump in. It's exactly how I did it. I got to my level and realized I was never going to be that person up because I couldn't stand to be that person up. Yeah. So I just ran the store the best it could. We made money until the landlord kicked us out, and it was over. But I had the same realization. If you don't want to be a complete asshole like most district managers are, you're never going higher because you have to do lots of bullshit to even make that step up.
Putting that aside, I feel bad for my ASL. There's not much I can do at this point for him, and he really wants to just up and quit. I can't blame him, and I told him that I'll continue to be a reference for him, but I think he can hang on for a few more days to help with the closure. Am I being petty about this? Should I just let him do his thing and leave? Thanks for taking my emails, guys. Love the podcast.
He should work it out until the end. I mean, all you do is pack boxes.
Yeah, like at that point, you're not dealing with customers at a certain point. You're just packing shit up and pulling boxes, shit down, right?
We took everything off the wall and threw it in a giant pile in the middle of the store because we had some junk company come get it. So there was just metal shelves fucking everywhere.
If anything, that's probably was a lot of fun.
It kind of was. We hung out. We just listened to music all day and just packed shit up. And guess what? If you make a mistake packing that shit up, that's somebody else's problem next when they get the box.
Like, what are they going to do? Refire
There's nothing like, what are you going to do? If I'm not here, no one's going to do this. So we just kind of hung out. We closed it down. I didn't get paid, but like they all got paid to be there to do it. And I think technically if you want to try to get your unemployment, you have to do it because you have to work it out until they term you. And then he should at least if his store's closing on the 25th, so he's got 2 weeks, he should find out, like, if I work through this day, am I eligible for unemployment? Yes, then I'm going to do it. Yeah. If not, fuck it later.
Yeah. They can eat every part of your ass.
Unless I really need the money for the next 2 weeks, fuck off. I'm out of here. I would just drop my keys on the floor and just leave. Like, what are you going to do?
In the middle of the floor.
Like that place. We said it before. We say it a lot. Like, you don't owe this place anything. And there's a lot of people who somehow still think they do, even like seeing this happening. Like, this place does not care. They didn't tell people that they were fired until the boxes showed up at their store. They don't care. You don't owe them 2 weeks. You don't owe them to stick around if you don't want it. You don't owe them anything.
No.
Use it to your advantage. Get your unemployment if you can, and do that. But and then for the first guy who got fucked out of it, I would wonder if he's still eligible for severance. I would maybe try to get that, just because if the options are we could have transferred you or you got severance and you decided to stay and then we couldn't transfer you, then severance should still be on the table. I don't understand why they would go away if the store is closing. At the very least, you get unemployment now because they decided to fire you. Yeah. But do like we always say, what Kyle did when he left, just bomb applications.
Oh yeah. Well, I left. It was a GameStop, but the other job, bomb, go on Indeed and stuff, whatever, bomb applications. I don't know what it's like now in terms of like if you're somebody that's looking for remote work, because that's what I was looking for specifically. But
it's gonna be tougher for sure.
I bombed applications for like 2 straight days, and then within a week I had 3 or 4 calls.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, if you've got a manager position on your resume, I mean, that's got to look decent for you. So, I mean, use that.
Especially multiple years at a GameStop. Like we always say, like you do a lot more than you think you do.
Yeah.
Hiring, scheduling, coaching, training.
Yeah. Put all that shit.
Service, cash in. It all adds
use
up.
them like they just used you.
Yeah, man.
Fuck them.
There you go.
But this is going to become, at the very minimum, a yearly occurrence for this place, if not a twice a year occurrence thing at this place. We're just all of a sudden.
If we have another one that happens this year, when do you think? Before holiday or after would be the year mark? So.
Summertime.
Well, Q1 I think for them is technically March, so.
Right after the Switch launch?
Yeah. Get the Switch money.
After they get all that out the door.
We sold the allotment we got. You're all fired. Have a good one. That's possible. I mean, who knows? They have nothing else to fall back on at the end of the year. There's no other console launch coming this year. There's nothing. This is the year of Switch 2. And
they're praying for GTA 5, but I don't think
that's making it either. But GTA 5, you and I were talking about this. Like GTA 5 is a game that everyone's going to want to play at midnight.
6.
And
sorry, 6. I was confused.
Oh, God. Yeah, shit.
I was like, are they re-releasing that fucker again, too? Is that making it to a new...
You don't know. Switch 2, GTA 5. But 6, like, everyone's going to want to play that game at midnight. They're going to want
to preload it. They're going
to buy it digitally. They're going to preload it, and they're going to play it at midnight. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to sell. It's going to sell a lot of physical copies, but I think we're finally at that point in 2025 where you're going to see that shift even more
for that game.
For that game specifically, that's going to be the first big one that's like that.
I would argue, like, I still think it's a game that will sell out of physical copies at GameStop, but I don't think that it's going to be at the impact of GTA 5.
Not the way
I think a lot of people are going to buy it digitally.
4 and even San Andreas and stuff were.
The people that want to play it at midnight have already pre-ordered it and will have it preloaded and ready to go.
And they're going to boot it at 12. So, yeah, I don't know. Like GTA 5 or 6. God damn it, Kyle. But even if that comes out this year, that's not going to save GameStop. Like, there's nothing coming to save that. And that's why they do graded cards and all this shit now.
Yeah. And as someone who's just a consumer, and obviously I don't want anyone to lose a job, man, that company can go out of business for. I felt bad because I was very frustrated with my son, who was being a wild man in the GameStop, and then
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah, and then that made me extra frustrated because there was just one person in front of me who just didn't know what they were just a clueless mom buying stuff. Which that happens. I'm not mad at them. But what I was mad about is that the 3 employees that were there, instead of like the one manning their other register, which they were doing before, they were all helping this one woman while I'm having my son run around like a wild, trying to like just buy one thing. And then when the kid was just like, oh, I see that your pro is about to expire, and I was like, I have absolutely no interest in renewing that. like it wasn't his fault, but that was exactly how I worded it. I have no interest.
I can't believe he found a store that had 3 employees.
Yeah, one was just fucking around with boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 were just like literally helping, like answering the same questions for this one person. I'm trying to buy something quick, and I'm like, my son is like, I love him, but he's like 1.5 years old, and he's fucking insane.
That's
like,
part of that. That's part of that thing. Or what GameStop is wants you to not be a register monkey, like we always said. But God, man, I didn't fucking care. God, especially like Black Friday, you stand at the register, you don't leave, you don't sell anybody anything, you just ring it up.
Have an option.
Move it along.
in the early years of it.
And ironically, what it did was like that moment, because like I was still on the fence because I still use the $5, a month, whatever. Like I can usually find enough stuff. I've been buying some baseball cards, and there's usually some stuff like I can find a use for it. But that one moment was literally what made me go, fuck it, I'm done. Like I'm clearly struggling, and like either them personally or the company doesn't train them to like, hey, this is a special circumstance where someone's struggling. Maybe I should ring them up a little, like, just like he needs some help. Let's take care of it. That made me just go, no, I'm fucking done. Yeah, I'm totally done with this now. And it's something small that like that's an easy fix,
right?
Like that doesn't. And I'm a dude that like if they know who I was, I spend thousands of dollars on video game shit. Thousands.
You got 13 Switches to prove it. Come on now.
13 individual Switches. All different.
I think that speaks a lot more to like GameStop and like the pressure they put on these people to hit on impossible numbers. Like when this Switch comes out, Kyle, what do you think they're going to want the minimum attach of the Switch to be?
5, 6.
I was joking with my friend. I hope you hit that 6 attach because they're going to want you to have a warranty for sure, an extra controller for sure, at least 3 games.
And some other for when they're closing stores left and right. Like, who's going to fulfill that?
Yeah. Also,
for 2 reasons: A, who's going to have a Switch to they'll tell you that there's some allocated at the warehouse. I'm sure, but like
that gem, they keep some behind at the warehouse. No, they fucking don't.
They sell it all. We're constantly told, hey, remember in the later years when it was like, oh, we're supposed to hold these pre-orders for 48 hours, not just sell everything.
Sell it all. They pre-ordered a game. No, it doesn't mean anything.
You're never out of stock.
It's all lies. Yeah, never out of stock. The biggest fucking lie at GameStop. We're always out of stock. Real quick, another GameStop thing I saw just before we move on. You saw that, you sent it to me where they're gonna. Oh, you have a question about a retro game at a retro store? Just ask an employee to open it. The fuck does that mean?
I laughed at
the employee doesn't know. If the employee can't tell what a fake is, how are they going to know what a board it looks like?
They're not going to take the time.
How are they going to know the specific board of each game?
Like if they do like one of those little training module things, that's not enough.
No, it's not. It's going to slow down everything to be like, oh, okay, let me open it up. Let me go look at the reference page and hope that the reference page has a correct picture of the board. And this isn't like a second gen release where the case is slightly different on the back, so I think it's fake. No, man, you just have to like spotting retro games. And Ryan, you know this. Like we all know this. It's almost like a feeling. Like I can just sense that
and it's tough if like you know what you're doing and you're a big nerd for it. And like I probably own fake shit just because like it's really hard to like, and like to expect that's something I would never even ask or blame some kid working at GameStop.
I could never see a scenario where you blame a GameStop employee for a game that they're selling being fake. There's no fucking way they know. Like fakes have gotten. There are a lot of really bad ones, like there just are. Some fakes are getting really, really fucking good, especially Pokemon ones. It's really more so of like just a sense, like the game literally feels weird, or it's
it's got a weird
different
texture
color
on
of
the
red
sticker. Yeah,
it's just. I just thought it was
the
fun.
weight. The weight will just be slightly off. You can't
hold it up to the light. Can you see? Is it a specific color? Like there's so many things that can tell whether a game is good or not. There's no possible way you telling a GameStop employee to open it in front of you is going to solve that problem.
Yeah,
not at all.
Here you go. Take a look.
Yeah, what do you think? Is this a real Pokemon Fire tool? Red? I don't know. Well, they had the tools because the tools are just big.
They did send those out. Okay,
but. Is this a correct copy of Mike Tyson's Punch Out? Fuck, I don't fucking know, dude. Like, it looks good, like, but like the average person, there's no way.
Well, I mean, I've got that fake copy of Earthbound that I found online. Yeah, and I mean, it looked from like the picture, it looked kind of similar, so I had to like go meet the guy and I had to like pull it out and look at it, and even so, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a repro, dude, and he was like, oh, well, I can take some off of it. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to pay you the full amount for this.
You're going to take a lot off it. Yeah. It's going to be 80%. I got it. 80%
I got it home and it was, I definitely opened it up and it was definitely fake. But I mean, still, it's like, okay, well, I didn't get it for full price. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm not a big deal, but yeah.
But like, a friend of mine who still works there, she'll occasionally send me pictures of like retro games she gets in, and she's like, "Are these real?" And it's like, I'm gonna need multiple photos, and even then, it's gonna be tough for me to tell.
Yeah.
Because there's certain giveaways on labels and stuff like you can look at and immediately know the difference, but sometimes they're pretty good.
Sometimes it's hard.
They're pretty good.
Let me kick over to some of the other emails we had here. Mike from Madison, Wisconsin. Hi, dudes. Love the podcast. I've got a question for you, and sorry if this has been asked before in the past. I've not listened to every episode. What's a popular game or game franchise that you just never clicked with, maybe don't get, and have no opinion on, that will blow people away that you are not into it? Like, for example, people are often surprised when I say that I just don't care for the Elder Scrolls Fallout style Bethesda RPG. Even though I like RPGs, they've just never clicked with me, and I know that other people love those games to death. Thanks. I got a good one.
Yeah, go.
Portal.
Really?
I've never played Portal 2.
Oh, man.
I probably will never play Portal 2. I played the first one because it was part of the Orange Box. Right. Part of it is when it originally came out, it came out the fateful day of the PlayStation Network outage.
Yep.
So it came out with those other games, Mortal Kombat, and what was the other? The SOCOM game that died. 4. And I don't know. It ballooned more. Like it became this beloved game. I own multiple copies of the game.
Isn't that
That's crazy part. I have it on Steam. I have it on Xbox. I don't care. Like, it's just the thing. I look at my. I understand there are people that love it. I understand. I've played the first one. I get what it's doing. I think the concept of it is cool. I've resolved to just. I'm never going to play that.
Yeah.
So
I had a lot of fun doing the co-op on that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot a lot of people tell me.
Yeah, like that. I have good memories of playing that with my buddy Brandon. Just having a good time. I since I have to 100% games, I went and then did the single player, and it's fine. I'm kind of with you. It's a game that I get why people love it. And I for a while felt like, why don't I have the same feelings for the? Why do I just think it's okay? Like, I didn't hate it. I had a good time, but like,
I have no strong hatred for it. It's not something I'm gonna like fight to the death on, like Last of Us 2 or something. But I also at the same time, like, it's more of a I'm indifferent. Like, I don't like, I see it, but I see it pop up on like every Watch Mojo list, all these other top 10 lists, like, oh, Portal 2, and I'm just like, I don't know. It just doesn't click for me. So
I love Portal 2. I'll just say it.
I don't know. That's fine.
Great game.
Yeah. It's you on everything. You're the one.
Well, here. So
it's you with Elf. It's you in Portal 2.
Whoa. I follow the mainstream. Okay, so I don't get attacked.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So a franchise I hate, and this is gonna sound kind of stupid, like Kyle's is, because I own I think every entry in the franchise, and I don't care for it at all. Metroid, I just don't fucking care. I don't care about the old ones. I don't care about Prime. I don't care about Dread. I don't care about the Game Boy Advance ones. I don't give a shit, dude. Metroid Pinball, I think, was probably my favorite one. I played that for 10 minutes. Like, I don't care. I cannot get into it. And the thing is it's not the style of game, because I love Bloodstained. I like Castlevania
games. Yeah.
I love Guacamelee. That's one of my favorite games, like, probably ever.
That game
is so fucking good. But Metroid, man, I don't know. I've tried every version. I've tried multiple times. I've tried different versions. It just doesn't matter. None of them fucking work for me at all.
I'm like half there with you on Metroid, because like I have played most of them, with the exception of the Prime. Like, the only Prime I ever played was the first one. I never played 2 or 3. The one that seems most interesting to me, which I have not played, is Dread. That seems like the most like recent intro. Like, I look at that and go, that seems pretty cool. But like, I've never been like hard, like, I need to run out and get a Metroid game. Like Metroid Prime 4. And that's why I look at the Switch 2 thing like, man, I really hope there's another launch game, because if it's just Metroid Prime 4, for me, that's a bummer.
It's not for me.
So, but yeah, no, I get it to an extent, but I also don't have a hatred of Metroid. It's just I'm indifferent.
It's just,
I
don't care.
And that's what I think more of what he's saying here. Care. Games are more like indifferent.
Yeah,
like, I just
really just don't
people.
Care.
It's beloved. People love it. I'm not like hard into it. About you, Matt, you got anything?
Matt likes everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Final Fantasy. The only one I like is 8.
Shit.
Okay.
And that's a take.
I know. I'm
but
so
again,
sorry.
I got to put out there. When is the last time you played 8? Was it recent?
No, ironic.
Okay.
So in that stack of games, I have that remastered 8 edition, and I'm gonna. I wanted to tackle
you're gonna
that.
be like me, where I said that for years. I'm like, oh yeah, 8's better than 9, and blah 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 blah. And then I was it 2 years ago? I sat down, and played that remaster, and was like, man, this game is fucking bullshit by the end of it. So
that game spins out of control.
God,
listen, when it came out, I played it. I played through it I think like 2 or 3 times, and I've played through it again. I haven't played through it in years, so I can definitely say that.
Okay.
But I have actively tried to play through Final Fantasy VII. I did the remake, and I did the demo, and I just really couldn't get it. And then I've tackled, I want to say Final Fantasy. Oh, the one in I don't even remember.
Stranger of Paradise. No.
Whoa.
Oh, the true origin.
I don't mind that
game. The one I've ever beaten is Type O HD.
Holy shit!
I actually like that game though.
I've played a lot of the ones
PSP,
a lot.
Though, right? You imported it?
No, I did the Xbox One when they did the
I enjoyed that game.
Of it.
It's an interesting game. It's definitely a portable game that they made for consoles at one point. But yes.
So I tried. I also tried 15, and I played a little bit of that, and I couldn't really get into it. And I bought the Pixel Remastered because I really listen. I got no hate towards any Final Fantasy game whatsoever. I've even played 9 and 10 too. I bought the remastered. I want to try them because I actively would love to get into them. I just cannot get into them to get into them.
Hey,
so
as someone who owns all of them, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
I will tell you 15. I played like maybe 10 to 20 hours of it when it originally came out. Put it down, was like, I couldn't really get into it. Went back to it, I think 2020 when the Series X came out because the system had no launch titles. And that's one of my favorite ones, though.
Okay.
Love it.
The second time I played it, it was.
I had so much fun.
So
a lot of it
more.
was it performed so much better on a better console, but because it had insane performance issues. But that game is like some real anime bullshit storytelling. But I loved it.
It's the road trip, dude.
It's the road trip. The homies hanging out.
That's what it is.
That car could fly at one point.
No, I realized I did lie to you guys. I also beat the Final Fantasy 15 beat 'em up that they have for free.
Yeah.
Which I actually I actually enjoyed that a lot.
It's a fun little game.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I know it's not Final Fantasy. I mean, that could be any beat 'em up, really.
Sure.
But I have technically beat another Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's a fun little game.
That's it. Yeah. Mine, if I'm allowed to answer,
go for
I guess.
Is because if Matt doesn't have 40 more with this long list that he likes to put together,
I'm already getting massacred for that one, so I'm okay.
Yeah. I won't even be as diplomatic as you guys were trying to be, because a lot of you guys were like, I just don't care. They're fine, whatever. Any Souls-like game can go fuck itself.
Hey,
like Elden Ring, it like a game that's just hard for the sake of being hard, I think is stupid. I find the atmosphere boring. Like it could look beautiful, but I find like all the lore of those type of games, the Elden God, fuck yourself. It's all douchey nonsense that doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense. All of it is dumb. The gameplay is like, man, I know some people love that triumph moment. Like that's kind of the appeal. I ain't sitting around. I'm a fucking grown man with a job and a kid. I am not failing at a boss for 6 hours to have one moment of going, yay! That game can eat its own dick. I could give two shits about it. All those games. I'm convinced there's, half the people who love those games truly love them for the art they are. And I think half of them are like, well, I can't say the Elden Ring's bad because everyone likes Elden Ring. And I don't want people to yell. Like, no, there's no chance in hell you all love that game. Half of you love that game, and half of you are pussies who are scared to be yelled at.
That's a
I've
great
actively tried to play Elden Ring a couple of times with a friend of mine, and I'm in the same boat, man. Like when I played through the first 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I'm in this open world getting chased by this 2,000 size dude on a fucking horse.
Yep.
And I can't run anywhere because he's faster than me. And my homie's like, dude, you just got to play it a little long. How am I going to play it? This dude is fucking chasing
when
me.
I'm getting one hit killed and just and the way that I like for two, it's not just because it's hard. It's like the story does not. It's nothing to make me even want to power through, because Celeste is hard as shit,
right?
But that story is amazing, so I will fight through it.
I played
to see more of the story because I want to see the story.
Yeah, I played Guacamelee on hard because there was a trophy for playing on hard. The game's hard as shit towards the end of it, but it was. I love that game. But
yeah, there's a payoff, and for me, and again, I always put the caveat because I'm never someone to yuck someone's yum. If someone legitimately loves those games, my opinion should not fucking ruin that for you. I don't care about that. But it's just like, man,
like I will give you like, and like I 100% understand it, and I will give you like in terms of the lore and the story, they're so far up their own ass with those stories. Like, I don't even know what's going on.
It reminds me of that Family Guy quote you might remember. It insists upon itself.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? It insists upon itself.
I saw that meme the other day, literally, of Elden Ring.
Yeah,
why do you not like it? It insists upon itself.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like some people will try to claim that those have good stories, and then if I ask you, like, what, give me a synopsis of the story, no one can fucking tell me what the actual, and I'm not doing like for me, a good game should not require me to do extra research to know the story.
100% agree.
You gotta sit down, you gotta read the description of every item in the game.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
Now, if I get motivated to do that extra because I really want to stay in that world, that's different. But like, I should be able to play the game and go, here's what the story was. Here's what happened. Here's the thing. And now I can go learn more stuff if I want. Those games are not that.
Oh, I'll 100% get like, for me, the reason I enjoy those games is they're for me, they're kind of like modern Castlevania games. That's how I've always viewed them. But I think the story of them are all bullshit. There are things in that game that make no fucking sense. It's like, go back to like Castlevania 2, where it's like, hey, you have to expect to go walk over to this cliff or whatever and kneel down for the little tornado to come down. There's a thing like that in Dark Souls where it's like, there's a part where like you have to go dip your head in this wax so that this thing won't murder you. And if you don't know how to dip your head in the wax, you're just going to fucking die over and over again. Like, how would I know that without looking it up? Like, there's bullshit in those games like that. But I like it for the same reasons that you said. Like, I like the sense of accomplishment. Like, that's all important. But I would never sit here and defend the story of any single one of those games. Even when they originally were like, they made a huge deal. Like, oh, we got George R.R. Martin this time now to write. Like, what the fuck do you think he included in Elden Ring?
Yeah. If there's one thing that Game of Thrones is known for, is how simple the story is.
What do you think his fucking input was on Elden Ring? Like, it had to have been one day of like, I don't know, make that thing harder. Like, it's so stupid to me.
Yeah, this one's banging its sister.
There you go. That's like, I'll 100% you. Like, the story of those games are just, it's fucking bullshit. And the one that does have a story, which is Sekiro, I did not like. I did not finish. I could not get into it. The only one that actually had a story that you could follow was that one. And there are a couple times that was the one where I got to the first boss of that one. It beat me so many times. I'm just like, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I'm not even enjoying the story of this one. There's another one. And I saw it. We talked about it earlier. The Elden Ring Night Rain has bosses from Dark Souls 3, and they show there's a famous boss in Dark Souls 3. It's the guy that rides around a cloud like Zeus and shoots lightning bolts at you. Fuck that boss. I don't remember what his name is. Only boss I've never been in a Dark Souls game. He was optional. That's why I passed on him. And the minute they showed him, I was like, fuck that game. They showed him, like, I don't ever want to see that boss again. Yeah, like, no. But I 100% understand and respect that opinion, though, because, like, I'm with you. The story of those games, utter bullshit.
Yeah.
I love the people when they get into it, like, well, there's this and that. Like, where are you getting this from?
Yeah, but and I want to also make it clear that not every game has to have a story. Like that's not
right.
That's not important. Like I love Mario games, and that's not deep lore. There's not a whole lot going. Like I don't
need the deep lore of Tetris.
but also the games like that are not presented in like, look at this world that you explore and learn all these great mystical. Eat my ass. Shut up. Get out of here.
Oh, that's a good one though. That is a good one though to put out there on. Let's see here. Next email we have comes to us from Ryan from Bend, Oregon. He says, "Howdy. Curious with it being the New Year's and everyone talking about New Year's resolutions. You guys have any gaming New Year's resolutions?" I'll let you start, Ryan, because you had a New Year's resolution.
Yeah, I had one that we were chatting about before recording. And we'll see if I stick to it. I'm going to struggle because I know it's sad that 10 days into the year, I'm already proud of myself that I haven't bought one yet. But as someone who buys way too many games and does not play enough games, I have set a resolution for 2025 that I can only buy 20 new games. And that's on any platform, that's physically or digitally, does not matter. So I can't waste a game on a $2 Steam game that Matt said was all right, that's fine, like no, that's not making the cut, even if it's only $2. The small exceptions to that, gifts don't count because I can't control somebody giving me a gift, right. And anything that I get for free with my subscription. So like I'm an Amazon Prime member, for instance. Right. If I claim those games, that does not count against it because that's just wasted whatever. So 20 games for the year so that I can actually start beating shit and like actually playing stuff.
I feel like it's realistic though, because it's a high enough number. It's not like, oh, I'm only gonna do 5, or like, no, that's
Now, are you doing 20 no matter what? So like if we hit December and you've only got 2, you got to buy 18 games in December?
No, 20 is my max.
No, I would say it hard 20. It has to be 20. Yeah.
It has to be 20 or my wife will leave me. Yeah. I've had her agree to that. She said that she will leave because she's like, I don't want anyone who's a liar.
Receipts.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that worries me, because I think I have such a huge backlog of stuff between the physical guy. I own 3,300 physical games that I'm slowly selling some of those out. I have probably another 2,000 to 3,000 digital games, not even counting my Hyperspin emulation machine, which adds another 50,000 games if you want to be technical about it. I'm not of any shortage to play. The only thing that worries me is how much gets released for the Switch 2. Because I'm a sucker for a new console. FOMO gets me in those ways. I've broken my FOMO on like I don't pre-order games anymore. Like that kind of stuff. I've sort of broken that. But a brand new console with all the bells and whistles, that's a tough one. So we'll see if I can stay strong around June or whenever that comes out.
No, that would be difficult for me too. With a new console coming out, but the ones that always get me are the ones where I know for a fact like they ain't gonna make many copies of this one.
Yeah,
like I sent it to you the other day, Dan. But like now that you can just reserve in North America the Suikoden 1 and 2, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna order that because they ain't making 2 printings of that.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I still have an existing pre-order from before that I haven't canceled because I already had it prepaid off with Amazon credit with like rewards points. That's what I use my reward points for Amazon points.
Technically you did it last year, so it doesn't count, right?
And I mean it's already prepaid. I would probably still count it because I could technically cancel it and use that credit for something else.
True,
but that's kind of where I've fallen into that one. I have it pre-ordered for Xbox, which will surely be worth a lot of money relatively because nobody's going to buy a physical copy on there.
Yeah. But yeah, weird RPGs are one of those things where like I always sit on it. It's like if I really want it physical, it's gonna be difficult later.
I think the Pixel remaster was the surprise of that stuff. Mm-hmm.
I've almost bought the new East game 5 or 6 times since the 7th when it came out for that very reason. Like, is it going to be getting reprints? Is it going to stick around for? I mean, the last one you can still buy and it gets a little discount still.
Well,
and that's been out.
It's a good thing I didn't buy it because now there's a new version of it coming out.
The Monster, yeah, the East 9. I did East 10, and then my the one that you're talking about that just came out, it comes for me tomorrow. So because it has that those games, they always do that first run special edition for no extra money, so you get some extra stuff.
Yeah, it's always little cardboard standouts or something like that for some reason, and
always gets
I always fall for that too. I never open that shit. I never display it. I don't like, but I'm just like, I got it. I need it. It's in a cool little box.
I've said mine a couple times, but I've already broken it in 10 years in, which is like, hey, if we get to January and we don't have a Switch 2 announcement, I'll start playing these Switch games. I haven't started playing these Switch games yet. I played Red Dead. So
what are you trying to play Switch? Like, what's like your, if you had to give like a list of like 3 or 5
backlog stuff, I would do.
What are you prioritizing if you can kind of off the top of your head?
Wonder, Super Mario Wonder would be the first thing.
That was a good one.
Metroid Dread, because I really want to look at that. Probably would do Link's Awakening before I do the other. I have both. These are all games I bought that are just sealed. Except for Mario Wonder. I've opened Mario Wonder.
I've got a lot of sealed Switch games, my friend. That's part of why I'm only buying 20.
They're right there.
Yeah.
Look at all that
more
red.
recent Zelda game. I haven't opened that either, but I would play Link's Awakening, I think, before I played that.
Echoes of Wisdom.
And then Brothership would be the other one.
Okay.
I would like to play that. That looks cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I have no shortage. There's plenty of more sitting over in that corner, but it's just like,
this is how this is how I'm reminding myself not to buy more than 20 games. Is all 5 of those games you've mentioned, I still need to play. They are in my backlog. Yeah. I think most of them, if not all of them, sealed still because I haven't had time to get around to them.
And the thing is, like, I remember the weekend of Brothership because I had to go to the store next to Best Buy, and I was there, and I'm like, well, Best Buy is next door. I might as well just buy Brothership. Walked in. Oh, yeah, they have like hundreds of copies of it, of course. I'll just buy it. But yeah, those would be mine. If I could ever, find a copy of Luigi's Mansion for $40 or Luigi's Mansion 2, I would do that. I would put that up there right away because I'd like to play 3, but I want to play 2 before 3. I played a little bit of it when it was on 3DS, but I never finished it. So, but those, I would put those would be mine. And then my other one would be like to even though I say I'm not, to try and resist getting a PS5 Pro as much as possible. Man. You can see on the shelf behind me, I caved over the holiday and I bought a disc drive. To be fair, the reason I bought the disc drive is because anytime I go into a Walmart or a Target or something now, I don't see the disc drive PS5s anymore. It's all digital. And so if I ever get to the point where, oh no, my PS5's dead and I'm stuck in the water, I might as well have the drive ready to go. That was my reason for getting it. But like, I will kid you not, that drive came last Friday. I spent the entirety of last week and I'm like, man, I could go out and buy a PS5 Pro right now. I should probably watch some videos on that and see how that PS4 Pro, stuff does, or for the PS4 backwards compatibility. I watched like so many videos where these people are trying to say like, well, here's the left screen, here's the right screen, and here's how much better it looks on this one. I'm just watching like, I'm not seeing it, man. So if anything, it did me good to watch those videos because I was like, I guess I don't need to do this right now. So, but I'm telling you, it'll be difficult when they finally have the killer app.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this game really looks better on this system. And that might just be GTA 6, but I don't think that's this year. So that'd be my other one. Hold off as long as possible.
Do you have a success for that? Like a date you get past that makes it like you've succeeded in this? Because technically you're going to succeed if as long as possible is tomorrow. You technically did what you said.
I would like to get through this year without getting one. My exception to the rule is if GTA 6 does come out this year.
Okay, I think that is fair to give yourself an out for
if
that.
If there is like hey, guess what, guys? It's coming out in September. Then I would probably over the summer be like, all right, fine, I get it. I want to play because my argument for that is, I think it will probably end up playing fine on the current systems we have. I don't think it's going to be the best way to play it. But also, it's going to be a year and a half to 2 years until you see that game on PC.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so, for sure. Yeah.
If you want to play it the best way possible, what are you going to do? So that's the way I look at it.
I'm playing it on my TV because everything's an Xbox.
There you go.
That's how I'm doing it.
But yeah, I put those as mine. What about the rest of you?
So I think mine would probably just be. So I'm still going pretty hard with like trophies and stuff. I still have one a day, and I've hit over 1,000 at this point in a row. I think I'm like 1,020. So I'd like to keep that going as long as possible. It's getting harder and harder to do just because I need to. Some days I just need to find one and go through my log and find something easy to knock out. But as far as trophies goes, what I really want to do, and it's not a reasonable goal, but it's something I could go for, is to try to platinum every Final Fantasy game that you can. I have a lot of them done. Some of them are absurd, like the Final Fantasy 14 ones are unreasonable, but if I put the time in, I probably could. But I want to get I still have to go back and finish 10. I got to do 9. 9 has a really bullshit one in it. I've done 1 through 5 of the Pixel Remaster, so I got to do 6. There's just little ones here and there, and then at some point that means I got to go through Rebirth and do all the bullshit minigame ones, which is going to be the fucking death of me. I bought
the Pixel Remaster and I started Final Fantasy 1. I actually really enjoyed what I played of it. I need to go back. They're
great version of those games. There's no other way to play those games anymore. It's those.
No, yeah, they kind of made those.
The only exception I would make is if you played 1 and 2, the Game Boy Advance version, because they are.
I hear that a lot. Those were better.
They have extra content.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably mine, is just keep the PlayStation streak going for whatever bullshit reason. I almost have 100 platinums. So maybe get to 100 and see how much further I can get.
I'm only asking this not to put anything in your head, but so I used to do that a lot too with Xbox, because I'm on True Achievements and all that, and it tracks all that stuff. Yep. What I found I was having a problem with the streak is that a lot of times I'd be really excited playing a game, and then I would want to stop playing the game because I was like, oh, I need to get an achievement tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I deliberately stopped my
streaks
because of that.
I play a game and get what comes naturally, and then if I need one a day, I just pull something else out, search for one I can do, and do it. That's why I'm playing.
It was making me play a meta game with myself,
right?
And I was like, "What am I fucking doing?"
Well, I get it.
I couldn't control that.
But that's why I play Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 all the time. Yeah, it's because I get a trophy.
I heard the first one was really good.
I like the second one more. Second one is a little more relaxed, and the trophies are much more. I can probably platinum this one in a reasonable amount of time.
Cool. Anything for you, man?
So if I could piggyback off of Ryan's idea, I think the number game is the numbers of games you buy in the year is probably actually really smart to kind of
as someone who just bought an Xbox Series X
and I think for me, if I had to do a New Year's resolution, I would probably cut your number in half. But for me, I think I would stick to only buying. I can only limit myself to buying 10 new console-based games going forward.
For a second there, I thought you were just being a troll, and you were like, my New Year's resolution is to make sure you only buy 10, Ryan. You don't get 20.
No, you jerk. No, because
well played.
Because for me, I think my idea is to go to. I have a lot of. So essentially, what I really like to do is I love to go to conventions, and I think at a convention, if I get caught up and I find retro stuff, it doesn't count for that.
Yeah, I kind of understand that,
because it's either things that I haven't ever, because all of my collection right now is in storage, so I can't even essentially play anything that I buy. So I'm buying it to store it for later, to when I can pull it out and play it all again.
Yeah,
but I think that's the biggest problem I have is buying games, because I think they either look cool or they're decently priced, and I just don't have the opportunity to get to them. So I think that's going to be my New Year's resolution, is I'm only allowing myself to buy 10 new console games, and I guess that for me will include Switch and Switch 2 stuff. That way I kind of block myself off from doing that kind of stuff and kind of go from there, because I'm pretty sure I've told you. I don't know. Have I told you, Dan? I'm essentially trying to come up there to go to, what is it, MCG or whatever?
MG. Yeah, he's going to come with us this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and my wife are already planning the trip. We're going to bring the boys. We're going to buy, we're going to get a hotel room. And we're going to essentially come up and try to go with you guys because I really do want to come up and I really want to see you guys.
Yeah.
But I also want to go there, and I've never been there, so I don't know what's available. Yeah, but then I also caught wind there's another convention. Like I have my big convention that's in Greenville in July that I always try to go to. There's another one in Alabama that's like 3 hours away, and that one is, from what I've read, pretty big on that side.
Okay.
And there's another one in November in Columbus, Ohio, where my one of my cousins, or a lot of my family live in Ohio, but I figured I can try to make it there. But like I don't even have a goal when I go to these conventions. I just kind of like looking at stuff to see what's interesting and like looking at the back art and stuff like that. Like I don't have a
I do a mix of it.
Yeah. And like typically I reach out to you guys and I'm like, hey, y'all need something? Like, is there anything particular y'all are looking for that I can try and track down? Which doesn't bother me. So I think just listening to everybody, I think that's going to be my goal, is to not buy as many new age games and to try and slow myself down so I can play through the backlog of not only like all of the stuff I have, but just kind of start focusing. And that includes Steam stuff. I'm gonna push that too. That includes Steam stuff as well as that, because Steam will catch you, man. Those deals, fucking insane. They will catch you.
It varies. I could do my whole 20 very quickly on accident if I'm not paying attention.
Oh yeah, but I think that's what I'm gonna go with this year. I can do that.
Fair enough. The final email we have comes from Kara from Benton, Arkansas. Hi guys, I love when you guys talk about movies, and I'm curious, over the holidays we finally got the first trailer for James Gunn's Superman. How are you guys feeling on it? Optimistic? Anything you dislike about it? Do you think he could bring a new era of DC, or is it going to bomb out like everything Zack Snyder did? So yeah, he put out the first trailer. Isn't it now historically the most viewed movie trailer? Because I think it beat Deadpool. I'm pretty sure I read it beat Deadpool and Wolverine, which was
I can believe that
the most viewed before it, which is kind of crazy. So, but I think it also shows that, you know, people want to see a good Superman movie, and we haven't had a good Superman movie in a long time. I know some will argue they didn't like Man of Steel, but for me, the trailer, like overall, I like it. I like the direction it's going. I think the biggest thing for me is it seems more, it has more of a sense of being hopeful and optimistic, which I think was something that was really lacking from Man of Steel, even though I like Man of Steel. At the same time, I have the same concerns that I had going into it when they announced that it was James Gunn, which I think there are too many people shown in the trailer. There's too much going on. They're showing a lot of characters that people like. Normal people don't know who Mr. Terrific is. Right. Normal people don't know Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, you know. They just look at it and go, why does he have a weird wig on? So, there is that one scene. Speaking of wigs, there is that one scene where they first show him as Clark Kent, and like I don't know what they did to his hair, but it looked bad. But then as they show him later, he looked fine. The parts of the trailer I did like, though, especially other than like I love how his suit looks. I love the color of it. Yeah. It's very colorful looking. There's the one scene of it that really got me, other than him actually fucking saving someone, which was awesome. You never saw that shit in the trailers for the other one. It was all just destruction and chaos. But the thing that really got me here was there was a scene where they show him sitting with whoever is playing Pa Kent. And that one, 2-second shot of that had more of an impact on me than anything they did with Pa Kent in the Man of Steel stuff.
When he watched him die in the tornado, even though they could have saved him and nobody would have known.
I think they're going to actually do something cool here with that, because that's a big part of who Superman is. So, and I think the little bit I would have wanted to hear that guy speak more as Superman. He does a little bit. I know some people throw shade on Crypto being in it. I think it's cool. He looked maybe a little too CG at times, the little bit they show him, but I still think it's cool that he's in the movie. I'm less against that than I'm all these other characters and stuff showing up, but I'm hopeful for it. I'm excited to get a new Superman movie. I really want it to be good. I'll be there day one, so I'm sure Dan. Sure Dan, you and I will be there day one. So I love Superman. He's my second after Batman. So I'm happy to see I'm happy to see it come back. I hope that it does really well. I will say, I also put in there, like, I have watched a little bit of Creature Commandos. I did hear that it gets better before. I think it just ended yesterday. So I'm sure my girlfriend and I will finish it. But I didn't think that was a good place to say, hey, this is the start of it. I think the true start is Superman. Right. So
yeah, it's cautious optimism. Like you hope that after the last series of Superman stuff kind of fell apart like pretty horrendously.
And not Henry Cavill's fault.
Not his fault.
He was a good Superman. It wasn't him.
The whole DCEU just kind of imploded.
Yeah.
And, the show just ended, so there's no more crossover between that. It's like the Arrowverse is dead. The only thing left is what's happening now, and then your Batman movie, which who knows if it'll ever come out.
That's a different topic.
That's a different topic. We won't talk about it. But yeah, so I mean, cautious optimism. I'm excited to see where it goes. Like, the problem it has is this universe has to live up to the Marvel universe, which we've said before, and I admit is fully bloated now to the point where it's lost control. But it still started so strong that the DC stuff it's a tough thing to live up to. But
I could also be wrong, like, in terms of the characters, they might just be showing them off to show them off in this trailer.
Right.
And there might not be as much.
I don't think that's the Green Lantern we get going forward. I think Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, that's a bad choice. Like, if we're going to do this universe and we want to do movies for 10 years, you have to cast young. I don't
think he's the only Green Lantern you're going to see in this universe right away. I think he's just in this movie. But I don't know. My hope is that it focuses more on him and not these other characters. So I will say, like, he looks great as Superman. The chick they have playing as Lois Lane looks fantastic. I think those two castings alone look great. And then also the guy that had the banner year of acting this year, that Nicholas Hoult actor, he looks good as Lex Luthor. The couple of shots they showed, I dug it. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for it. So, Matt, I know you have zero to say on it because you hate Superman.
Listen, don't put me in that. I don't hate him. I just feel like he's one of the most overused superheroes.
He is,
and I hate that. Like, I feel bad about that. But I would go for Superman and Batman because, to be honest with you, there's just too much happening. But I do like the casting of Superman. I think that guy looks really good as him.
Yeah, he does.
Will I watch it in the theaters? No, because it doesn't excite me. Does the movie not look bad? No, the trailer doesn't make it look bad. I am just not a Superman fan. I dated this one girl a long time ago that she was like, ooh. But she was really her favorite overall was Superman, and she made me watch all the Smallville with her.
Oh man, I didn't even done that.
And it wasn't like, I mean, Smallville was good for the first part of it.
Yeah.
But man, it just kind of turned me off because then we had to watch like every Superman, and I wasn't a big fan. It's hard to get behind things like that when you're just not an overall fan of that. So I mean, I'll definitely catch it when it like drops digitally and you find it for me.
It'll be on Max by the end of
because I'll be okay with that. But I mean, I haven't
It'll be on Max by the end of August.
There you go.
Probably.
But I haven't even watched Robert Pattinson's Batman yet. And like, I mean, that's been on Max forever, So it's like,
I mean, I would tell you should, but I would also say you could also just watch The Penguin.
See, I haven't even watched The Penguin yet. I mean, like I said, once it drops digitally, I'll definitely catch it. I mean, I hope it's good because I know it's James Gunn's first like real into the DC universe for him. Aside from like the Peacemaker show and all the other stuff and the other small stuff he's done.
I do need to sit down and watch that. That's on my short list of
But again, I really enjoyed Peacemaker, but I don't know if it was because it was John Cena in Peacemaker or how it was shot and whatnot. But I enjoyed Peacemaker. I thought it was a very good series. So
I think he had a lot in hand with that show and that character with James Gunn, like writing the show, writing the character out of that Suicide Squad movie.
So I'm gonna say that I hope the overall movie is good. for the Superman fans and like just for James Gunn's first outing in the DC, but I will not.
Well, it also launches this thing in like from all the other stuff that they put out for like their roadmap. Like Superman's kind of the biggest part of it.
Yeah,
a lot of it is characters that are either underutilized or have not been utilized on film. So yes, there is a Batman movie attached to it, but I think that's even in more production hell than the Batman 2.
And I'm okay with that because I mean, like I've said before, you know, some of my favorite Marvel movies weren't like the core Marvel, like Iron Man and like Thor and all that. Like I kind of liked Ant-Man and then, you know, Doctor Strange. Those were kind of my favorite characters walking out of Marvel.
I would have told you a year before the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't think that would end up being one of the top Marvel properties.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So
and,
I mean,
that was quite something.
So I'm really, like I said, I'm really hoping that this is a good outing for Superman, and I mean, overall, I hope it does well. I just won't be watching it. Sorry,
anything
guys.
to say, Ryan?
I have zero opinion. Like, I'm not even. I have. So this year, I'm trying to get into just reading some comics, just for I want to read some comics.
Sure.
I found a cool website that has literally put together like 40,000 comics of Marvel in like story order.
That's cool.
You know, like the whole universe, not just like individual thing. Because like that's always been the reason I've not wanted to get into comics too deep, is that like it's really intimidating and really confusing if you're coming in blind.
It is.
You know, it's like,
it is.
Why is this Spider-Man different than this Spider-Man? And and this Batman like did this here, but it doesn't count here. Like all that kind of stuff's very confusing. So to find this where it goes like, okay, you have to read this version of, you know, the Fantastic Four, and then it references a reference from that is referenced in the Hulk. And,
now there's Superior Spider-Man. What makes him superior?
Yeah, exactly. Just all that. So like, I'll probably watch the movie eventually, but like my nerd space just does not have room to add caring about the Superman movie, and that's not like casting shade.
Yeah,
between wrestling and I got into hockey this year, and I love sport, and baseball season will be going on by then, and I have video games and like just all this other stuff. I can't squeeze another thing in there to care about right now.
I came dangerously close to getting back into hockey this year, but in the area that I live in, it is a nightmare to watch the Blackhawks games.
Well, I will say the team that I picked was the Anaheim Ducks because I wanted a team that was close.
Sure.
Because like, when you're a transplant, like I'm a diehard Cubs fan, a diehard Miami Dolphins fan, you don't get a lot of local games you can go do.
Yeah.
So I was like, and the Ducks did a couple check marks for me. They were close. I live 45 minutes away from the arena, so I can just go watch a game. And they're bad now with a good young core, which means theoretically I'm in on the ground floor. Like unless there's a geographic reason for you to pick a good team, nothing murders my soul more than someone's like, I think I'm going to start watching football. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Fuck off.
Go fuck yourself. Yeah. Like unless it's geographic based, you don't get to do that. So like, I like picking a team that like, you know, I think early things had them in the bottom 3 in the league. They're actually playing pretty well, and I've had a lot of fun.
They've been pretty bad the last couple of years.
Yeah. So that is like, I like to get in on the ground floor of something and enjoy it. And I've been having a blast. That's actually been one of the like best things I've done the last few months. I've watched every game so far this year. It's a lot of fun.
No, unfortunately where we are, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm mad at myself for sleeping on hockey, honestly. Well, you guys have the experience of like, the Blackhawks were good not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
So now it's like extra. I don't have a reference point. I don't give a shit. I wasn't a fan of the Ducks. The Ducks were pretty good, I guess, 10 years ago too. But I wasn't a fan. I didn't care.
Period,
So
wasn't there a movie made about them?
It's all fresh. What's that?
I said, wasn't there a movie made about them?
Yeah,
that's the lore.
A couple of those.
Yeah, I've been knuckle pucking my wife. She hates it.
That's the lore.
Good stuff.
Good. But as always, that'll end. We're going to get into our game of the year, movie of the year stuff real quick. But as always, send your emails into podcast572@gmail.com. And now real quickly here, we'll go over, we have our top 5 lists. We're doing, We're doing movies and games. I'm just gonna go in the order we have it here. So Dan, you're up first for games.
All right, so games.
Top 5.
We'll go 5 to 1. Just
2024
for the suspense. And again, this is games we played in 2024.
Yeah,
not necessarily games that came out in 2024. So my number 5 was probably Helldivers 2. I didn't stick with that game a lot, but I will say like the month and a half that I played it, I really, really liked that game a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something I probably should need to go back to and play more of. Number 4, Astrobot. That's just like the perfect Sony game that's ever been made. Like it's hard to explain how great of a game that is on every level.
That's the type of game that Xbox doesn't have the properties to have. That would be so helpful. Nope. It's like Astrobot is a great commercial for PlayStation. And the
sad part,
and I don't even mean that derogatory.
No,
it's a great commercial for like, look at all the cool shit we have here.
And the sad part is Nintendo does have that, but they choose to just make Smash Brothers with it and not something else.
Yeah,
they have so many more options of things they could do that combines all these things, and they don't do it.
It's also the 30th anniversary of PlayStation this year.
Yeah.
So never a more perfect time to put a game out like that.
Number 3, Vampire Survivors.
Technically, first out on PS5 this year.
The amount of time I put into that game is obscene. I have every trophy on both the PS4 and PS5 versions of it. Not for necessarily wanting to get trophies, just because I like playing that game that fucking much that it's fun to get the trophies. That game is incredibly good for what it is. Number 2, Baldur's Gate 3. That's a game I still have. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface on, but just like.
But also, you've done a lot of it.
I've done so much that I just know that like this game is incredible. The detail, every single detail is thought about in this game. Yeah, and it's wildly the different experiences like you and I have had, and they're so wildly different.
We were going through at the same time just to see how different we were playing it.
Hey man,
and how
did you meet the frog that fucking killed you? No, because I sure did, and he fucking killed me. Frog. Like, it's
nuts
so
how wild
I need to dive deep back in and get into it.
That game's great.
And then number 1, it's Rebirth. Like it's and it's funny because I don't necessarily even know if I think that like is the greatest technical game I've ever played, and the story is confusing and all that kind of stuff. But it's more so for what they did for this game to follow up the last one, because the last one already was such like a major change from what 7 already was. And it was amazing that they could build this game into being this action-based game with blowing out all these store areas and making it big. And then this game tripled down. Giant open world. It all works. It all makes sense. It just fits together. It continues everything. Nothing. It's Zach is back. You get to play with it's just for a Final Fantasy VII fan. It's just incredible, and it really makes me excited for what the third game could possibly be. Because it has to get bigger somehow, and I don't know what that means.
Well, they have to do the airship.
They have to, but like,
and they said they're not going to skip on it.
They're not going to compromise on the airship in this game. This game's huge. I don't understand how that's going to work, but I'm excited for it. So yeah, it's probably Rebirth. This number 1.
I'm up next. Number 5 for me was the Silent Hill 2 remake. It took me a little longer to get through it than it probably should have, but I really enjoyed it. It was when it came out, it right before it, we weren't sure. Bluebird team was handling it. We weren't sure if they were going to stick the landing with it because they've had some questionable past releases in the horror genre for some people. I really liked their previous game. I can't think of the name of it right now. It was an Xbox launch, the Medium. I really enjoyed that, but I know other people didn't. But they knocked it out of the park. The game visually looks phenomenal. It is Silent Hill 2 again, and if you've not ever played, like, I would still like to see a remake of the original Silent Hill, but I think for people that have never played a Silent Hill game, this would be the gateway to get into the franchise. So I understand why they picked it. Phenomenal horror game. Number 4, I cheated a little bit. I've been addicted to the simulator games this year, so I put it as a simulator trio. So Supermarket Simulator, the trading card game to a lesser extent, and then Laundry Store Simulator. I don't know. That's been my grind this year, these simulator games. And we're on the heels. I did buy a mall one, but there is a better looking mall one coming out this year that I know is going to dominate shit. And then we say it all the time, but hey man, if anybody's listening that makes these games, make a video store one, destroy my life, because it will. If you make a video store one, I will never stop.
We're going to have to do it ourselves.
We're gonna have to, right? Number 3 for me is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for many of the same reasons that you have it at the top of your list. I loved Remake, and I was the person going into it going into Remake being like, I don't know if they're gonna be able to pull it off. How many times did we make fun of it and the jokes and the memes before Remake came out of like, this is stupid, splitting this into 3 parts, and what the fuck are they doing? Right. But Rebirth really brought it back for me even more. They answered all the questions I had with like, how are they going to make an even bigger open world? Like, how are they going to handle this part of the game? And they handled it masterfully. So I have full faith and confidence in the third and final part, but I had a fantastic time with Rebirth. Number 2 for me is Astrobot. Astrobot is it's amazing. It's probably the best platformer that we've had in the last probably decade. And it improves in every way upon the game that came with your PS5. You buy PS5, the Playroom. So, it was a tech demo, but it actually really felt like a game, and that's what everybody said at the time. So it made sense. They were like, "Hey, let's make Astrobot." So, then finally, and clutching it at the end of this year is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is my game of the year in 2024.
I can predict that's going to be on my 2025 list, just so you're aware.
Yeah, no, we'll find out. Against all odds, we talked about it all year. We had this like, man, Microsoft really needs this game to be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Like, it cannot be anything less than that. And just from everything we talked about earlier, across the board, it feels like a lost Indiana Jones movie that you get to play. That's the best compliment I can give it. Everything about it works. I did at the end, I will say, I only had 2 technical issues with the game. I had one instance where Indy fell through the world, and at first I thought it was part of the game because the game gets kind of wacky at times towards the end of it. So I thought it was a legitimate thing happening. I realized like, no, this is a glitch in the game. And then the very last level of the game, at least for me, I got a really bad stealth checkpoint where the AI companion you have just keeps running in front of a guard and kept alerting. And I had to do some killing. Mm-hmm. When I said I had to use the gun, that was the one time I had to use the revolver because I was like, I don't know a way around this. But just an incredible game. Like, even to the end, when you find out exactly what is going on here, what the actual thing is for the Great Circle, it's a tremendous game. It fits. It makes perfect sense for what Indiana Jones is. I really hope. I watched the credits because I was like, I want to see who wrote this game, and it's somebody from Machine Games whose name I'm not going to be able to pronounce because they're from whatever country Machine Games is in. But I really hope those same people write a sequel to this game because they understand the character. So that's it for me, Matt.
Nice. I'll run through it. Super Mario RPG is number 5 for me. I just really enjoyed my time with
and
that.
4, 3, 2, and 1.
There we go. We're done. 4 is Dying Light 2. I haven't finished it, but I've enjoyed going back and forth to it because I was disappointed highly in Dying Light 1. And when I bought 2, I bought it at a whim, and I just plugged it up this year, and I really enjoyed how clean it was compared to 1. Number 3, Astrobot. I haven't finished it, but I mean, what I've played of it is fantastic. And like I said, my youngest keeps deleting his saved games, so I keep having to help him with it. I've played the first world like at least 18 times since Christmas Day, and it's still a lot of fun to play. Like, I'm still okay with it. 2 for me.
Kid is a menace,
He is a fucking menace, dude.
Total menace.
I'm really shocked right now that Pikmin 4 is going on as long as he's been playing it right now. Like, he hasn't reset it or anything like that. 2, Helldivers 2. I really enjoy that. I still go back to it every now and then to play, and I have another friend, and me and him link up and we'll play matches together and stuff like that. But just the stuff they keep pulling out of it is actually just a lot of fun to kind of go back and because it's real life Starship Troopers, man. Like, yeah, it's what Starship Troopers should be for the game.
Should be.
Like, that's what it should be. And then number one game I've talked about it consistently, Dave the Diver. It's got so many different aspects, man. It is fucking fantastic. I even caught myself wanting to buy the Switch copy.
Not surprised by that.
No, not at all. And keeping it because I've already, I've gotten so far on the PC, and I think I may end up doing that this year at some point in time.
Yeah, that's probably the game I've most wanted to go back to and just have it in 2024.
It is so good.
It is very good. Yeah,
dude, it is so good. And there's, like I said, there's just so many different things about it that you can try and play. But yeah, that's me. That's my 5 for the year.
All right. Anything you want to add, Ryan?
I did not know this was happening.
No, that's
on you. We'll start with that. And number 2, I will be honest, just with my son, being as young as he was, I wasn't really diving into a lot of whole new stuff today. But the one game I would give a particular mention to that I think everyone should play is Mini Shoot Adventures.
Okay.
For Steam, it's like it's basically a shoot 'em up, like a kind of bullet hell shoot 'em up, but it plays in the style of like Link to the Past.
Oh,
okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So you're a spaceship and you have a gun, but you're kind of traveling the world. Like it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it took me 15 or so hours.
Okay.
Would totally recommend that. It's cheap. It's always on sale. Yeah, it's the name makes no damn sense. It's a really lame, stupid name, but the gameplay is really fun. It plays really well. It's a pretty interesting story. You get emotional about these ships who they're like robots and ships that have it's pretty cool. I would recommend that. And in a normal year where I actually got to sit down and play, I mean, who knows if that wouldn't be my game of the year, but just a shout out to a game that I played this year that was new that I really liked.
Oh, it looks pretty good.
No. Yeah, I feel like I've heard of it, so it is something I will definitely check out. And then we'll quickly go through our top 5 movies of 2024. I guess this one I'm starting it. So
spoiler: The Santa Claus.
Oh,
there you go. Number 1. There it is.
Dark horse.
Elf.
And we're gonna call this one Kyle's top 5 horror movies of 2024 because they're all horror movies. One is questionably a horror movie, but 2024 is a great year for horror movies. Number 5 for me, Smile 2. Loved Smile 2. I love it more than the first one. It gets wacky, but I think the main reason why I was drawn to it is that Naomi Scott chick. Her performance is so good in that movie. The
pink Power Ranger in the terrible Power Rangers movie.
Yes. She is crazy in this movie.
Princess
I know
Jasmine
why you won't watch it.
The weird live action.
Yeah, she was in the. Yeah. No, she does some crazy stuff in this. Number 4 for me, The Substance. I talked about it a lot earlier, but really enjoyed it. I'm not really one that enjoys body horror movies either, but for whatever reason, I really like this one. Number 3. I'm massive Michael Keaton fan, favorite actor of all time. Don't say.
And himself.
I love Beetlejuice. It's a crazy movie. And I don't think you've watched it yet, Dan, or even you've watched it yet, man. It's a movie where it really on paper shouldn't work because it has like 4 different plots, but for somehow all these plots intersect and meet up in the middle of this movie, and it makes perfect sense and it works. Which is the craziest part of it, but it's still just, even at his age, he's still having fun playing this character one last time. And I don't want a third one. This was fine. I'm happy with this ending where it is.
Well, you're about to get 4 more that are released straight to VHS.
There you go.
Home.
Good news. Beetlejuice 2 is confirmed.
There you go.
Well, I mean, wouldn't they just capitalize it and call it Beetlejuice?
No, you can't do it. You can't say it 3 times, dude.
Can't say it 3 times.
No, you fucked it up. Fucked it up, Matt.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, Heretic. This movie, so I was excited about when it got announced, and I think the main reason why it's such an exciting movie is it stars Hugh Grant and he's playing against type. He's playing a real nasty, villainous role, totally against what Hugh Grant would be. He was known as the 90s rom-com star.
He's handsome British man.
Yeah,
he's so perfect in this movie for the role. It's weird, it's wacky. I will say, it is a movie. I don't know if everybody will figure out what he's actually going for in terms of what the secret is. I did figure it out, but I still think that it was cool and well done. It's an awesome movie that has a lot of interesting questions, very psychological, very minor scene of gore, but it's not terrible for people that might be a little squeamish.
Hey man, I watched Equalizer yesterday.
I think you'll be fine with Heretic.
Equalizer gets pretty fucking gnarly at some points.
And then, like I said before, I didn't get a chance to see Nosferatu. I'm sure that would have been on the top 5. But my number 1 movie of the year, and it didn't change since I saw it, and that is Alien Romulus. I'm a massive Alien fan. It's exactly what I wanted out of an Alien sequel. I understand the people that don't like it. I know that they're the fans that don't like Prometheus and they don't like Covenant, and it does reference those movies, so they're going to immediately hate it. But I like everything Alien. This did everything that I wanted it to do, and I would love to see a proper sequel to this. I don't know if that's what's going to happen now because Ridley Scott's talking about making another movie. So, but that was my number 1 movie of the year. I loved it. So, Dan, you're up
real
next.
quick before I do this. Did Turtles come out this year?
No,
last year.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure.
Number 1 again.
Turtles was great. Number 5, Inside Out 2. That was a really good. I got to take my kids to that movie. It's better than the first one, which I liked a lot already. But I really like. I don't know. There's something about that movie that's just really good. And this time you got to see a lot more of the emotions, all working together kind of a thing. I thought this was a better one than the first one. It's a good movie. 4 is Trap. We talked about it a lot before. Trap is number 4 for me because I love the concept and I love his performance. I was just let down by the execution at the end. There's a better way to end that movie, and it's out there somewhere, but I think all of the rest of it is really strong. That I did like it.
Yeah.
3 is The Beekeeper. We talked about Beekeeper.
God, The
Beekeeper is such a fucking great movie. Jason Statham is he's the fucking man.
But he goes up against something that we can all collectively hate.
Call center scammers. And he murders a lot of them. And it's really good.
That's what makes it.
We were talking about it with our other friend who's been watching all these movies lately. And when we were describing it to him, I was like, it's John Wick with bees, dude. That's what it is. It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch. Number 2, this is a cheat, but I'm going to allow it for myself. The Fallout TV series.
No, it's acceptable.
I can't believe how fucking well they nailed it. They just
well done.
Completely nailed an original story in the Fallout universe. It feels like the sets and stuff are incredible. It just feels like Fallout. Everybody's great. It's cool to see the story from 3 different sides and how they cross over. They set up.
Are they doing another season of that?
It was postponed filming because of the LA fires right now. But they are doing that.
Which pretty gnarly, by the way. I'm not that close, but I'm close enough that it sucks.
But the next season 2 is going to be New Vegas, which is I'm super excited for that.
That's cool.
And then number 1, as someone, if you would have told me 5 years ago this would be my number 1 movie of the year, I probably would have told you to go screw yourself. Deadpool and Wolverine. Just because it's just fun. That's a movie where it literally on purpose does not take itself seriously. It just says fuck it. And it we're going to do whatever the hell we want. Ryan Reynolds has just basically said, hey, Hugh Jackman's back. We're going to make another movie, and Chris Evans is the Human Torch, and we're going to rip his skin off. The movie's so absurd, but it's so fan servicey that it just has fun. You just want to watch a fun movie, Deadpool and Wolverine.
I got to see Blade one last time.
You got to see Blade. Fucking Gambit is real, and it's played by Channing Tatum. Elektra shows up. The movie, that scene alone broke my brain because it's what is happening?
Yeah.
But that's amazing. Number 1.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll run through mine. Monkey Man was number 5. I really liked all the action sequences in that one. I thought it was a really solid flick. For nostalgia reasons, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is number 4 for me because I love Axel Foley, and I think that's a fantastic movie, even though I know it's probably not. I enjoyed it, and I had a great time watching it.
You can like whatever you like, big guy.
Thank you. Number 3, Deadpool Wolverine. I feel the same way, Dan. It doesn't take itself seriously, and it really appeals to the fans that have been asking for everything like Gambit and, just random cameos and shit like that happen. I enjoyed it, and I've watched it a couple of times since then. It still holds up.
Sabretooth is in that movie to get his head cut off. Like, it's just like...
I mean, Thor is in it for a split second hugging Deadpool, and we still don't know what's happening. Yeah. Like, so it's just interesting.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Number 2, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
I totally forgot that came out this year.
But
it did.
Yes, the ending was a little quicker,
rushed
than I really wanted it to be. I still really thoroughly enjoyed it moving forward. I'm hoping if they come out with the next one that they kind of just learn from that and maybe just give me a little more suspense and build up, and the ending and all that jazz is a little bit cleaner. And number 1 is something I actually probably forgot to add in my list of movies, and I realized that after I put it on this list. Wicked is my number 1 pick of 2024.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put Craven at number 1.
Oh, God. There you go. Yeah, man. Come on now. What are you doing?
How could you?
Slow, bro. No, I'm a theater kid at heart, dude. So like any musical, I'll typically go watch and I'll go see. But I don't know much about this story going into it. So I actually just kind of went into a little blind.
Fair.
But it was solid. It's a really solid film.
Did you go into it knowing that it is part 1 of 2?
No.
Okay. Oh,
dude,
boy.
Blew my brain because I was like sitting here watching it. I was with my wife and her best friend, and we were all watching it. And my wife's best friend, that's her favorite musical. And she's like started reading the books about it. She's seen that movie like 7 times since it came out, which is wild. And
I also do want to, not that there's probably any issue with this, but the book's very different than the musical.
Oh God,
so don't let your teenage kid probably read it.
The books.
It's not quite the same thing.
It's bad. But I went in, I saw it, I thought it was the ending, and then like the last scene closed and it was like part 1, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, there's a whole part 2 coming through. So I'm excited to see part 2. I hope it kind of holds up, but the whole movie itself was really solid, and the ending scene was fantastic. I can't ever remember the name of the girl who plays the main character, the main witch, but she's fantastic.
Urzo or something. Her last name starts with an E.
Yeah, something like that. But
Cynthia?
Yeah, Cynthia something. She's fantastic. She is a really good.
Does Jeff Goldblum sing in that movie?
No.
Okay.
No, if I remember correctly, he does.
Save some for part 2.
Yeah.
True. There you go. There is part 2 coming.
Yeah. And I didn't even know who is that? Michelle. Is her last name Yo? Mm-hmm. I didn't know she was in it either. Like I really went into this kind of blind. I just kind of wanted to see
very blind into it.
Yeah, like I really just wanted to see it because I had heard so much positive about it from a lot of the people I talked to, and I was like, well, it's a musical. I really love musicals anyway, so let me go ahead and check it out. And it was really good though. I really enjoyed myself in that one. But that was my top 5.
Fair enough. Any movie you want to shower?
Yeah, we said Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus.
You know it's cute. It's like they spell Claus with an E at the end. I heard
that's where they get you. It's an unturned.
Yes.
I'll give a quick story about a movie I tried to watch and then almost died.
Oh. Okay.
So my wife and I, we're not big movie people here. We're more TV show people here, just because we don't always have the brain space to sit down for an hour and a half to 2 hours. But we can usually sit down for 22 minutes to watch it, But my sweet mother-in-law was nice enough one night she agreed to watch The Baby, and we were like, let's go see a movie. We haven't seen a movie in a long, long time. We got tickets to go see Twisters.
Okay.
We got into the movie theater. We sat down for about 10 minutes. My wife went to go get a drink. She came back and she was like, "We're about to be evacuated." and they came in. There was a CO2 leak in the building, and we had to be evacuated. And so we still have passes to go see a movie at some point. But we have not got to go see yet. So it's my favorite movie of the year, not Twisters. Next year could be Twisters.
Ooh,
it's hard to say, but right now, not Twisters. I watch a lot of old movies. I do that on planes.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thing. So nothing new came out that I was really super pumped about. But I was catching up on a lot of old shit I haven't watched in forever, like the Top Gun and the first Ghostbuster, like things like that.
Fair.
I have a problem with most things where I can't be a part of the current conversation because I'm a contrarian. This is a fault of mine. It's not a fault of anyone else's. But if someone tells me, "Oh, this is the greatest movie ever," I go in and watch it going, "Here's every reason it fucking sucked. How about that?" And I know that's a fault of mine. So I kind of have to separate myself.
I like to do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
I think the biggest movie I ever did that for was that first Avatar movie, where I refused to see it. And and then the 30th week it was in theaters. My girlfriend at the time and I were like, I have to fucking see it. It's driving me crazy.
I have to know.
And then we went in and we watched it and went, "This movie fucking sucks. What the fuck is wrong with people?"
You don't like blue people being matrixed?
Fuck that whole.
We're getting the third one this year.
That whole movie. Fuck it.
You don't like blue Pocahontas?
No, Fern Gully is what you mean.
Fern Gully,
all the same. Yeah. But yeah, I know that's a fault. I just can't. I'll always look for a reason to hate it. So for me, you just let me on my own accord. Don't this year I watched Paul Blart Mall Cop and had a fun time. Just stuff like that. That's how I want to watch movies. Is I want to go I'm sitting down to watch
Renaissance era.
Hell yeah!
Oh, so it's going to be another 4 years before you see Paul Blart called Mall Cop 2, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, I got you.
But that's how I've been watching movies mostly. Is I'll just get on a streaming service and say I'm going to watch a movie, and then I go through. I'm not worried about what public discourse is. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm just I'm going to watch this movie, and that's what I do. I enjoy it more that way because I don't feel I have to match my opinion to whatever the thing is. And just enjoy Paul Blart Mall Cop, the movie of the year.
There you go. But yeah, that's gonna wrap us up for this edition. Do you have anything, Ryan, you want to promote?
Just cripplethreat.com for my tour dates and cripplethreat8 on all the social medias. That's kind of the main thing. I'm sort of stay-at-home dadding more than anything right now. So if anyone has any suggestions for that, I have a very opinionated 1.5-year-old who's mean. So if you have any solutions for that, let me know. Yeah. But otherwise,
buy a dog
got a few
crate.
things. Yeah, I probably would know. He would figure out. Then the whole time he would just sitting there and go, "Open the door, open the door, open the door." That's his big friend. Anything that needs to be opened. It could be his yogurt pouch that has a cap on it. Open the door. That's his phrase for everything.
Smart boy.
Nice. This is probably a little too far for you guys, but I'm close-ish to you boys. I'm in Janesville, Wisconsin here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So not too far. And you know what? Yeah, I make him. I make Matt drive. What was 10 hours to come see me? It was something
8
ridiculous.
hours to go see your ass.
Yeah, and I'll go right in their backyard, and they don't even give a shit.
I know, right?
That's what it's like, Matt.
Basically, you went 20 minutes from us the one time.
You were literally in our halfway point.
I was literally right there.
I had to go buy a hotel room for the weekend.
I know. It was like you guys made shirts for me and everything. It was very nice.
But that's not here.
Yeah. That's all I really got to promote. Yeah. Just follow my stuff. I'm trying to get some more clips. Try to get a lot of that more social media stuff going. Very thankful I didn't put a lot of investment into TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. I look smart now.
Yeah.
I never made a TikTok account.
Yep.
The whole time.
A couple months, it won't matter. So good job.
Instagram was far enough.
There you go.
But yeah, otherwise, we will be back in another 2 weeks for another edition of the podcast. As always, thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Be safe.
Bye.